inhuman, so peculiar, we're too scared to make a change. Shakara, everybody's out to get you and you're acting like it's strange. Cause being human so peculiar, we're too scared to make a change. Shakara, ha, Shakara, ha, Shakara, ha, Shakara, ha, Shakara.
Live from the lounge at Nashville International Airport, this is the Library of Mass Destruction. Back again.
You think I have money for the lounge?
I mean, you know, maybe credit card rewards.
You had to give me shoes.
I didn't have to give you shoes. I chose to give you shoes. Brother, can you spare a dime? And joining me as usual is Christopher Sandbatch. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty good, but this is true. Okay. Well, a lot's happened. We've been gone a long time.
We've been gone a month. That's right.
I've been obliterated by two totally different women since then.
Two in 1 month is actually a low rate for you.
It's usually just the same one over and over, but she's crazy enough to have 10 personalities. So
I'm sure that the crazy woman who continues to torture you really appreciates you airing her dirty laundry,
dude,
i.e. yourself, on this show.
I know she's still listening too, because when I got home from Nashville, I had a book from her about overcoming narcissism.
Absolutely beautiful.
It was unsigned, and I know it was her because, I mean, of the 10 or so people who know my address, one of them is a gay dude. One of them is, two of them are my parents, and the rest are all ex-girlfriends. It could have theoretically been any of them, but there's only one that talks about Jungian therapy and also narcissism.
I mentioned Jungian therapy while sitting not 3 feet from you last week.
I thought maybe in the triage list of people who it might have come from, you were on there, and I was like,
I don't send passive aggressive gifts. I don't send passive aggressive gifts. I don't do passive aggression in general. I do active aggression.
Yeah, this is very true. But no, okay, this is true. That I was stuck in. Well, I mean, again, there's so much to go through. We did LMD live. It's theoretically it was a conference talk, but we invented a genre called what did we call it?
We didn't call it anything.
We called it yeah, it's true. We let the group determine. We let the gradient descent of group consensus settle on interactive panel.
Yeah, that's right. Two people. Well, and it wasn't even actually that interactive. All of the audience participation was either faked or suggested to them ahead of time. Other than the Q&A, the Q&A was just a regular Q&A.
It was mostly Q&A. It was mostly regular. But anyway, yeah, we did that, and it was great, actually. Got wonderful reviews. They're saying it was the best interactive panel at the entire conference.
It was the only interactive panel at the entire conference.
Yeah. But upon leaving, and I teased this story with Cap before we went on the air, and I said, nope, got to tell the gang about this one. And the thing that sort of happened is I'm stuck in the Nashville airport for 10 hours or 12 hours, And it was on the day Bonnaroo ended. Okay. And if you know where Bonnaroo is, Nashville is the airport all the rich bitches fly out of. So not only was I stuck in the airport, it was an endless parade of sand bitches, just the most perfect sand bitches imaginable. Like just trotting past me. It was like being, at the salmon spawning run, but also not being a bear,
not being a bear, not being completely spent, not being a completely mutated out male salmon, ready to just shoot your salmon loads everywhere.
Yeah.
It is interesting that you mentioned the idea of this being a salmon run, but you not being a male salmon. You're like, but you're not a bear, and it seems completely uninteresting to you that you might be the compatible sort to all the ladies salmon. You just have to be a super predator.
Oh man, and
you weren't even willing to settle for like fly fishermen.
I know I was going for fly fisherman initially, and then I decided that the bear, steered the prompt and
women do choose the bear. It's true.
It's true. I was like looking.
There's a horrible B plot happening in chat right now. I just want you to know that. B plot. QG says, stop listening to mommy ASMR roleplay audio to be here. Sex Freakman, our stalwart, says, stop my mommy ASMR stream on my alt to be here. Perfect. It's the stream of the Magi.
Grade 7N says, I was wondering where LMD had gone just earlier today. So were we. That's right.
And I guess we did TR Hudson's activation phrase as well. Hello, TR. TRT Hudson. Yeah. But anyway. Yeah. So there were all these ladies, all of these eligible ladies for you to ogle and smell at, and you didn't do anything about it.
Did nothing about it, but
you just waited in the airport.
It's one of those things where, like, I do kind of feel like picking a woman up in the airport when she's got like, I mean, I know
it's an inherently transient
this
place.
Is a huge fumble that I'm trying to cope about right now, but I think like Suicide Monday after Bonnaroo in the airport is not the place you want to be accosted by drunk Sandbatch, who is also being accompanied by some of his fan retinue throughout the day.
Oh, you had fan. I'm gonna say women with you.
Every single one was a dude.
Of course. Yeah, no girls allowed at the batch party.
Allowed.
No goyles allowed.
We're going to the OGC conference. It's all dudes. We're just going out in the woods in the middle of Pride Month.
Yeah, it's just totally. It's straight though because it's not CPAC. They'll plow a dude any time of year. Yeah, man. But so we're back in the saddle after the hiatus. The decompression period following.
Just immediately right out of the gate here. Is this an EPUB? No.
It isn't. Well, this that I'm using is an EPUB, but the book was conventionally published because it was published in 1999.
Okay. Well, look, I'm distinctly already not a fan of the typesetting here.
Well, yeah, it's an EPUB, so I could change that. I think. Yeah, I could. Yeah, I could just change the font. I think font family, default, font size, font weight, line height, zoom. Oh, I actually can't. I can't do it. Yep, can't do it.
Shit's not as easy as it looks. But
Arial.
Oh no, no sans serifs. We need to see, but the sans serifs.
Impact. We're reading the book at Impact.
It's the whole thing turned into an alt-lit flyer for a second.
This is a whole new level of presentation that we could do.
This is our first EPUB, isn't it?
We're doing bottom text, fellas. We're
literally
bottom text the book.
DDD via typeface.
You would be DDDing myself because I would have to read an entire book in Impact font. Yeah. What's
the tasteful reading font says QG.
What about wingdings?
No. I can't believe it's just Burmese though. It's when you want wingdings and all you've got is Burmese. Look, there's like some of that shit.
I do like that mass control starts with a bomb and a peace sign. It's bomb, peace sign, double drip.
And then there's
that's
some
pretty cool.
Some Gemini, some Capricorn,
Yeah.
There's shit going on.
Do you know how to write your name in Wingdings, Sandbatch?
I have no idea. Still don't know.
Me either. Well, it starts with a drip, right? It's a drip. It's drip peace sign. Actually, there's like a weird. So we're actually discovering a whole other level of nominative determinism, right? Yeah. What is your name in Wingdings? Well, that's
literally
the skeleton key to your soul
profile right now, and that's going to be my question. What's your fucking name in Wingding?
What's your first initial in Wingdings?
Yeah,
right. You're filled in drip. You're the dark drip.
Do you realize that see when you're talking about doing real life social engineering, that's how you filter for sand bitches right there. What is your name in Wingdings? You get you get two types of people only. Really, really, really naive, dumb white women, and they're fun to hang out with. But then you also that will bring in the crazies like that. Yeah. That'll bring in the real fucking nuts.
Technically speaking, I could probably learn Wingdings in like 2 hours and be able to read it. I mean, it's pretty easy. It's just a substitutionary cipher, right? So it's just you only have to learn the number of characters of the alphabet, right?
I mean, at base level, it's probably
control.
Yeah. Guy who does traditional Japanese calligraphy, Japanese style, but in Wingdings.
Yeah. All right. What font do you want?
There
you go. You love the sans serif font. You love a good Helvetica.
I fucking hate sans serif. See, look, this is what he does to me.
You love Helvetica. You love it.
Crimson Pro is the one. That's the one I use for. Crimson Pro is the main body font in the house style of St. Expedite Press.
Well, that doesn't work.
No, that one just falls back.
Yeah.
See, this is why EPUBs suck.
Well, sorry. So we're just going to go.
Sorry, fuck you.
Well, I can't do anything about it other than leave it on Helvetica. So, let's see. All right.
What is this book about?
Well, it's about mass control, engineering human consciousness. It's in the name. It's what's on the tin.
I've never heard of this guy, which is not a good sign. But
Jim Keith is alleged to be Commander X, who was published in a lot of conspiracy zines in the 90s, and apparently he died of suspicious circumstances. I heard that because this book was recommended by a friend of the pod. Interesting Books Reviewed. So,
I remember this moment too. Yeah, Let me look what's going on here. Published by Adventures Unlimited Press in
Oh, you don't know about Adventures Unlimited?
No.
Oh, well, here's Adventures Unlimited.
So this is a well-known press.
Yeah, I mean they're like,
I was literally looking at it. I was like, oh, so this is like Ancient Aliens tier, and then
they're like a slightly more successful Trine Day, the publishers of Aberration in the Heartland of the Real.
Yeah.
They do have, like, you know, conspiracy and history, cryptozoology, DVD sets, DVD new releases. So just this is where we're at, right?
These are like is for people. This is for people who are building a physical media stash unironically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm building an unironic physical media stash, but it's all like weird shit. Website. Yeah. Yeah.
You deviate also into the ironic stuff as well, though.
I'm not that. I'm not like collecting 8-track, man. Like,
no, but you're not blogging about how, because like when people push that shit so far into the world where they try to make cassettes a thing. I'm like,
I agree. Cassettes are like, it's silly to make cassettes nowadays. But if you were going to, like, hear me out, right? If you're going to like have a vintage car, right? Vintage car, or you're listening to something that would have originally been released on cassette.
I've thought about this before.
You should listen. You should listen to the cassette. Like, you should listen to the thing that you should listen to, whatever the media is on the medium in which it was initially presented.
I thought about that for cars, and that's because, you know, I've driven a couple of cars that, like, you know, they're temporally configured, you know, like my Mustang, for instance. Like, I'm not but like, I would not ever put, for instance, my dream car is a '93 Mustang Cobra. Yeah, that's where my.
This is a fucking Kino poster. I'm just
it is. It absolutely is. I would also refuse to, I wouldn't update the sound system. So cassettes are what I got.
Yeah. No, and that's like, if you're driving a 1970s boat ass town car, like, get the 8-track.
Yeah.
Like, the problem is that, you know, and while it obviously would be most authentic, I know you hate authenticity as a concept.
I don't hate authenticity. I just don't think inauthenticity
is possible. I'm just saying that I think that it would be cool to listen to music that was appropriate to the era of the car. But I also think you could probably get some sort of like Bluetooth 8-track adapter, where it plays it through the 8-track heads, and therefore, you know, compresses and does whatever 8-track does. I think 8-track is actually supposed to be at lower fidelity than cassettes, but I was too old to. I was born too late to ever experience 8-track. Anyway,
I remember cassettes.
Cassettes were fun. They had like a little hiss. There was like a, you know.
I for a woman, I made an old fashioned, because I live in New Orleans, and like, just people in New Orleans have weird shit. I got a buddy that's got a cassette rig, and I made a girl like a real cassette mixtape last year.
QG says at least 3 ashtrays in the car if you have a tape player as well, which is absolutely fucking true. Like, people like Zoomers will never know how fucking Kino it was to have ashtrays in every single door handle. Like, even being a little kid and like flipping the ashtray up and down, right? Yeah. Like, that was fun. It was something to do. You had a fit. Now they bring their own fidgets. Kids these days don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
They don't know what it's like to sound like this when you're 5 years old because of all the secondhand from grandma smoking a Virginia Slims. Kindergartners sounding like Harvey Fierstein.
My mother smokes Virginia Slims.
That makes sense. That, with everything I know about her, I imagine her as being like a somewhat like scarily thin, very severe woman who never like brings her nose below a 15-degree elevation.
That's her. Yeah, it's her.
Fucking got him. She's probably like a 5'2" gobelina. You're just not gonna cop to it.
My mother, she's like 5'9".
Oh, what tall woman. Especially for her age. 1980s Mercury diesel. Mercedes, not Mercury.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's like a 300 or something, Xeria. That is a good car. That's a car with a lot of ashtrays. Anyway, mass control, engineering human consciousness. Jim Keith basically has laid out for us at once a bibliography and also an outline for what we've already kind of put together on the show and in our extracurricular reading, which is how mass media started using MK Ultra methods to manipulate public opinion. Now, of course, this book was written in 1999, so he doesn't know anything about social media, but he does know about the internet. So we'll see what he says about that when they, Sex Freakman says you should consume things through the medium they were intended for, like tobacco through your parents' living room and or kitchen. That's right. Just secondhand hanging out with your parents. You should, you know what? When and if I am blessed with a child, I will always secondhand smoke around them so that they get addicted to the nicotine and they form a positive dependent relationship on their dear old dad. Right? They'll be like, man, when I don't see my dad, I get all anxious. I get all jittery. Yeah.
Wild.
That's what I'm going to do. Let's see. For the inhabitants of Planet 9, if you remember, I don't know what Planet 9 is. I was thinking Plan 9 from outer space, but that's not the same thing. Let's see. After the publication of my book, Mind Control, World Control, I was contacted by many persons with new information on the subject of human control, both researchers in the field as well as some persons who believe that they have been the subject of abuse by intelligence and other agencies. The necessity for an update and an expansion of my earlier research became apparent. This book is the result. As always, I was greatly assisted by my personal friends, network of fellow researchers, and readership. Special thanks are due to my family who continue to tolerate my odd hours and bohemian brain style, Sandbatch, and to my publishers, to whom I owe much gratitude. What luck for rulers that men do not think. Quote, Adolf Hitler. It's always a strong start to quote Adolf Hitler in any book, no matter what it is.
Never gone wrong.
Table of contents.
You know who waited way too late in his book to quote to credit Adolf Hitler?
Dave McGowan.
Adolf Hitler. Yeah, he should have come right out of the gate. He was firing hard,
I want to point out that chapter 12 is Jolly West and the violence. I immediately
we're pointed directly at the target here, Dan.
Pointed directly at the target. Yeah. All right. Chapter 1, The Origins of Control. Agents of the world's elite have been long engaged in a war on the populace of Earth. Greed is the motivation for this war, a greed so pervasive that it encompasses the planet and all of the beings on it. But in recent times, a philosophy has been used to justify that greed. It is the philosophy of mass control that ultimately aims at dictating every aspect of human life, even remolding man's perception of reality and himself. Although the lust for control can be discerned since the beginning of recorded history, a nexus of particular importance arose in Germany in the latter half of the 19th century. As the country increased in military and industrial might, Becoming the strongest power in Europe, a revolution simultaneously took place in German philosophic and scientific thought that paradoxically would spread through the world to create positive technological change as well as to birth innumerable toxic children. According to one source, the sudden change from relative political weakness to world power and from economic insecurity to prosperity proved to be a great strain on the German character and public life. The spread of materialistic philosophy of life was worldwide in this age, and the idolatry of power was not confined to Germany, but its corrosive effect was particularly strong in a country that was not inured to power. One aspect of this transformation, this idolatry of power, was a negative transformation of the psychological sciences. In the late 19th century, earlier, more humanistic approaches to understanding mankind were replaced by a scientific philosophy that would be employed less as a measure for the understanding of man than as a justification for a new feudalism and a mechanism of pure control.
He does kind of sound like me.
I could stand for I could stand for a little new feudalism. I don't know about you, but I can stand for it.
No. I mean, this is like I am a non-neo-feudalist.
Non-neo-feudalist.
I am a modernist. I am
modern.
I'm modern in every conceivable way. Yep.
Oh, Randall Shirker sends us a $5 super duper. I picked the worst day to lack sleep and sleep in. I see we've picked a book by Jim Keith, aka Major Guy for the Black Helicopter Conspiracies. Yeah, black helicopters are okay. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it later. We'll get into. I'm sure he will not fail to mention it. There's also Psy War and beam warfare in here, which is probably, I'm going to guess, microwave beam warfare, but we'll see. The materialist overhauling of psychology was in great part ushered in by the work of German psychologist Wilhelm Maximilian Wundt. Wundt was a professor of philosophy at the University of Leipzig, and in 1875 established the world's first psychological laboratory there. Let's see. A move that would eventually turn the world of more humanistic-oriented psychology on its head. Interesting, but one's great-grandfather is documented as having been a member of the Illuminati secret society in Bavaria, making it not unreasonable to imagine that Herr Professor may also have been a member of that group, except the Illuminati formally did not exist at that time, for sure. And was not necessary because they were liberals.
You gotta let him cook.
What?
You gotta let him cook.
Gotta let him cook. I know. Once, in reflection of a powerful materialistic groundswell in German thought that began with Schopenhauer.
Told you. Sounds just like him.
Yeah.
He's woke on the Germans.
He's Volk on the Volk.
Yep.
At the beginning of the 19th century, and was to be later epitomized by Karl Marx, rejected in cavalier fashion the notion that man might have a soul or deeper significance than the merely physical, that he was in fact anything more than an animal. Following this line of reasoning, an approach that came to be known in psychology as structuralism, Wundt insisted that all psychological studies should depend entirely on the study of body reactions. Truth of man, Wundt insisted, could be determined solely through mechanistic means. Measurement, analysis, and dissection of bodies. He should have said vivisection. It's so much. Vivisection is so much more evocative. After Wundt had thoroughly infused the psychological sciences with his materialist approach, many scientists and the members of the ruling class that employed them believed that they were justified in treating human beings as if they were pieces of meat, and as an overall plan of action proceeded to do so. You know, when people get treated like pieces of meat, it's always pieces of, you know, you think some like juicy steak or something like that. Really? But like Actually, you're more like cricket protein. You're more like the bugs, like something that can just get homogenized and sort of made into a single standardized unit. Cuts of mammal meat don't really comport with that type of thing. Cricket protein is a much more apt comparison. Randall Shirker sent us another $5 donuts. Could be helicopters, UN helicopters. Also, we know they explain Sandbatch's Floyd problems, but they're all made in the same CIA lab. Sandbatch, the man with 1,000 handlers.
Everyone in my life, everyone reliably in my life eventually develops a handler-handled relationship with me.
Man, you know what? I would take the Langley dollars to handle you. I'd do it. I'd do it right now.
Somebody recently was asking me like it was a question about how they thought you would respond to something actually, and I was like, I actually don't know him that well.
That's really funny. You'll have to tell me what it was and who it was and when and also where they live later on. The materialist psychological doctrine spread rapidly, with at least 24 laboratories established by Wundt's students between the years 1883 and 1893, with more of the German acolytes fanning out to infiltrate related fields, such as education. Wundt's
now doing this a second time, this is not merely a Hitler non-appreciator. This is a man who appears to be aware of the Germans.
This is a guy who doesn't like who doesn't dislike Hitler because of the post-war consensus. He dislikes him because he's ethnically Germanic.
Yes.
This is the Enlightenment meme. Like, I don't like Hitler because of the holly, all the way down to I don't like him because he's a goddamn kraut. Let's see.
Which is literally me, by the way.
Wundt's materialistic approach would infect the thinking of most of the influential psychologists, psychiatrists, educators, and social planners who would follow in the 20th century. One man who marched to Wundt's dirge was the Russian Ivan Petrovich Pavlov. Pavlov conducted a wide-ranging research into techniques of control, primarily using dogs for his experiments. In the now famous experiment, Pavlov fed his dogs, stimulating salivation, while at the same time ringing a bell. After doing this many times, Pavlov was able to stimulate salivation in reaction to the sound of the bell alone. Other of Pavlov's experiments involved rewarding dogs with petting or punishing them with pain. Using these kinds of approaches, Pavlov developed his theory of the conditioned reflex, demonstrating that animals are motivated by patterns of conditioned response, and that conditioning can be artificially induced. The results of Pavlov's experiment did not escape the social planners of his day, nor those who would follow. I mean, the thing is that anyone who's ever had a dog, anyone who's ever like eaten a sandwich in front of a dog knows that it's not that fucking hard to stimulate salivation in a dog. It's pretty easy. So, I don't know if we really needed the full Pavlovian conditioning thing, but it's such a clean experiment, right? That the results of which are so obvious to everyone that it's good to have it as an example, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, perfecting inhumanity. A time-dishonored approach to the we're almost Wendogging. A time-dishonored approach to the manipulation of mankind is through the philosophy and techniques of eugenics. Well, now he's lost me. He's talking dismissively of eugenics. This is the attempted perfecting of humanity through genetic means, selective breeding, sterilization, biological manipulation, and even murder for those kids.
Imagine blowing this much credibility this fast. Like, dude, you could have just shut up.
Yeah.
You could have started telling your story right there with like, Hitler was bad, not because he was bad because he was German.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was it. That's your punctuation statement. And then you start your unhinged conspiracy theory.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead, he's got to throw shade on eugenics. Bastard. The study of eugenics has its beginning in Germany, sometime after the mid-19th century mark, stimulated by Volkisch concerns for Aryan racial purity. Rudolf Virchow, pathologist and politician, began a study of national ethnic statistics in 1871, convinced that the majority of Germans would prove to be of relatively pure Nordic descent. The results of his studies proved otherwise. According to Virchow, the obvious solution was to set about Nordicizing the debased German stock. I think it definitely. Oh, sorry. It's a mid-19th century. Yeah, eugenics definitely existed before that. Like maybe they weren't called, it wasn't focused on genetics, but eugenics is a thing that people do all the time. Anyway, the popularity of eugenics theories was given a jump start in England by Francis Galton, a cousin of Charles Darwin. In 1869, Galton published his book, Hereditary Genius, that Cornell University anthropology professor David Greenwood has called an impassioned brief for hereditary aristocracy that became the first modern document of the modern eugenics movement. Galton was the man who launched the nature versus nurture debate that quietly rages today, arguing for the domination of innate rather than acquired human abilities. It was Galton's opinion that the human race could be improved by selective breeding and the extermination of the unfit. True. Galton once said that he hoped that eugenics would become the religion of the future. In the latter part of the century, with endeavors like the Human Genome Project that seeks to map the entirety of human DNA, his hope seems to be moving towards fulfillment. If only. People are like, oh, eugenics is terrible. Eugenics is a crazy thing, but then they'll abort their Down syndrome baby.
In fact, actually, people get like all this about like, no, actually, I'm beyond good and evil here, man. First of all, but if I wasn't, I would tell you that the evil position is not at least like, it's like one of those, you can set the knob to 0, but setting the knob to 0 is like setting the knob to negative. Setting the knob to 0 is setting the knob to like 0. It's like 1.2. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You gotta rev it up a little bit, even if you want to just like set it at 0 and call this all just dirty talk or something like that. And any society that is not actively eugenic is actively dysgenic.
That's right. That's right. You actually can't be neutral
because the random vagaries of time, it's time and existence themselves cause a little bit of fray,
Right. So you have to actually be improving or be pointing towards improvement. I think there's a degree to which you can be too eugenic, right? Like you wouldn't just want to say like, oh well, here's like the best theoretical human, so we'll just clone that fucker forever.
Yeah, you
actually do need. I'm saying it for the record. You do need genetic diversity. So, anyway, Galton's theories were influenced in part by his examination of the family trees of eminent stuffed shirts in England. He noted that most persons of accomplishment were related to each other, an aristocratic theory of intelligence, thus theoretically putting the aristocracy on a genetic pedestal and rationalizing a stratified society, or caste system in Britain and the world. Even the name of the subject betrays something of its orientation. Galton derived the word eugenics from the Greek eugenes, meaning well-born. This aggrandizement of the privileged class was one of the reasons why eugenics research found ready support from the moneyed, both in America and Europe. It justified their disdain for the parasitism of the masses. The hoi polloi, the global south, the eaters. Shirker has once again given us $5 and says, we know that Sandbatch is evil maxing on this, given how he'd be the first one to be banished from Foids for his shenanigans. I actually don't think that you can. I don't think eugenics can be sort of, I don't know what you would say. It can't be boiled down to present economic circumstances, right? But you
have no idea. You have no idea what my life would be like. I mean, I don't have issues with women, to be totally honest with you. And I do agree to one extent or another that is because of the patriarchy. And there's a long, convoluted explanation for that. But I also think that I got pretty good genes, actually.
Let's see here.
There's almost certainly some peptide that can turn me into a Fortune 500 CEO. Said no one ever. This, by the way, is why my most recent ex-girlfriend sent me the narcissism book.
There is that peptide is Pervitin. Like
well, Pervitin, the German pharmaceutical.
The German pharmaceutical. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's so popular nowadays with the Germans, the Germans who moved to the United States in the 19th century and now reside in Wisconsin. They're taking their own sort of bathtub Pervitin. Anyway, chairs in eugenics.
Would that be to like go back in time and find out like the Vikings were just actually they were drinking a brew of things that vaguely approximate Pervitin. And it's like
the whole Amanita muscaria thing was actually correct. Yeah. Chairs in eugenics and eugenics in working society were established at the University College in London in 1904, with the Galton Laboratory for National Eugenics founded in 1907. In 1905, in the United States, the Rockefellers and Carnegies constructed the Eugenics Records Office at Cold Springs Harbor, New York, where genetic research, none dare call it genetics.
James.
Oh my God. He's
James was forever cold.
Good old Gary and Larry. Is still being done in 1999. Oh, wonderful. In 1912, the first International Congress of Eugenics was convened at the University of London, presided over by its president, who also happened to be Charles Darwin's son. Vice presidents of the Congress included the First Lord of the Admiralty, Winston Churchill, M. von Gruber, professor of hygiene at Munich University, Dr. Alfred Platz, president of the International Society for Race Hygiene. Oh my God. Why aren't you the president for the International Society of Race Hygiene? Christopher? Because you're not applying yourself. Because you won't take your Pervitin like a growing boy. You could be the president of the International Society for Race Hygiene. Charles W. Eliot, president emeritus of Harvard and inventor of the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell. The Second International Congress of Eugenics was held in 1921, sponsored by U.S. Secretary of Commerce Herbert Hoover and the presidents of Clark University, Smith College, and the Carnegie Institution. Other prominent supporters of eugenics of the period who will loom large in the history of control to follow included many members of the American Eastern establishment, particularly of the Eastern Establishment Dulles and Harriman families. Are we doing Yankee Cowboy? Are we doing that again?
I mean, that book was so like foundational. It's like it's gonna turn up everywhere. You just didn't know what it was.
I didn't. No, wasn't mine.
It's schizo enough.
From 1907 to 1960, more than 100,000 persons were eugenically sterilized in over 30 states in the United States. It is unlikely that the well-known, I'll tell you, they missed too many. They missed way too many. It is unlikely that the well-known and horrific Nazi approach to eugenics, brutally carried out in laboratories and concentration camps during World War II and reportedly claiming hundreds of thousands of victims, would have taken place without eugenics theory having been earlier popularized by British and American scientists and media, and funded by American and British money interests. Money interests? What kind of money interests are we talking about? Never mind. Randall Shurker, Cap, is all about eugenics. Hence why he's trying to breed a better Elliot Rodger, the final gentleman. Thank you for the $5 super chat again. The problem
Sugar,
with Elliot,
and I don't say this just because Sugar keeps paying his money. He's on fire tonight.
the problem with Elliot Rodger is that the proportions were off. You gotta go for the quad hoppa. The quad hoppa is peak performance. Let's see here. German eugenics studies were organized and bankrolled by the family-run Rockefeller Foundation and its allies in medicine, industry, and politics, with large grants provided to the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Psychiatry and the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Anthropology, Eugenics, and Human Heredity in Munich. The latter facility was run by the fascist Swiss psychiatrist Ernst Rudin and his underlings Ottmar Verscher and Franz J. Kallmann. In 1932, Ernst Rudin was named president of the Worldwide Eugenics Federation. Rockefeller funding for eugenics research in Germany would continue during World War II. The stated justification being that the war should not impede scientific research. So true. The Kaiser Wilhelm Institute's eugenics studies were initially endowed by Gustav Krupp von Bohlen und Halbach, the head of the Krupp munitions monolith. The Guns of Krupp, really good book, if anyone is interested in World War II munitions. And James Loeb of the Kuhn-Loeb banking family. Banking families could be here. Loeb's relatives, the Warburgs, were banking partners of William Rockefeller, and both families were responsible for setting up the American Harriman family, also movers and shakers in eugenics in business. Although we know little about what took place in German laboratories researching mind control and brainwashing during this period, just want to point out he has jumped from eugenics to mind control with 0 steps in between. Right? They're very different things. Although there could be cross-pollination, but they are, in their fundament, quite different things. There are some hints. In 1933, the German Reichstag building was burned in the time-honored tradition of the Patsy. A Dutchman, a mental patient named Marinus van der Lubbe, was arrested and should have been van der Rube. Am I right? Was arrested and charged with the crime. Psychiatric reports called van der Lubbe an unstable but happy man who lived as a vagabond and entertained notions of changing the world. In court, however, van der Lubbe seemed nothing of the sort, appearing almost completely apathetic, responding dully to questions. Wow, yeah, I mean, I wonder, is being in prison, does that change your outlook? Maybe he was bipolar. But let's see. Psychiatric reports: unstable but happy, living as a vagabond, This is a city breakdancer. This is a city breakdancer, man. Let's see. Randall Shirker sends us yet another $5. Everyone else is slacking. Randall Shirker is the only real one. He's the true listener. He's the one who we're doing it for. The Rockefeller Foundation also funded Alfred Kinsey. So excuse me if I think they just funded anything they could use to evil Max. So true. So true. Sandbatch, where are you on the Kinsey scale?
You know, I can't even remember what numbers it is.
I think it's 1 to 100, 100 being max fag.
So it's like 0 to 100.
Yeah, 0 to 100 being the gayest possible.
Yeah, I'm probably like 30% gay.
Whoa, that's pretty gay.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Let's see.
I wrote a book of poetry, dude. Like that's like 30% right there.
Wrote a book of poetry, 30% gay. Penultimo, unstable but happy, living as a vagabond is how I picture Sandbatch most of the time. Well, that's where you're wrong. He's not happy.
He's not. No, I'm not a vagabond. I don't move around enough.
You do, yeah. You do. You are. Well, there was a time like a year ago where you were moving around an awful lot, but you did get sucked back by the Loa to reside forevermore in New Orleans.
Dude, 2 months here feels like an eternity.
Let's see here. Sex Freakman reminds me of that fake headline: local school bully not so tough after being molested. Yeah, that's right. That's right. If you're a freewheeling vagabond, if you're a freewheeling vagabond and then you just go to a Weimar prison, you're probably not. You're it's going in the butt. I presume that given that the NSDAP hadn't fully taken control yet at the time of the Reichstag fire, that it was mostly a Weimar prison. That's just my presumption. Let's see. On the 42nd day of the trial, Vanderloob suddenly made a remarkable change. Now he began excitedly talking about inner voices that commanded him. He demanded that he be put to death, and he then just as suddenly slumped back into apathy. Vanderloob was convicted by the court and executed. Subsequent events made it clear, however, that it was members of the Nazi Party itself who would burn the Reichstag. It is not outside the realm of possibility that Vanderloob had been brainwashed to take the fall, as many other patsies have been programmed to do in the years that have ensued. I think that's pretty spurious. I mean, sure, maybe
that's pretty spurious, bro.
Maybe the Nazis did do the Reichstag fire. Like, I have literally never spent any time researching the truth or falsehood.
I think that's pretty safe thing, though. Like,
I'm just saying that I don't have a strong opinion on it because I have not ever looked into it at all. So, but he could have just been a crazy person. Like, we have crazy people now, or they could have said, "Hey, if you confess, we'll not kill you," and then went back on their word after he confessed. Right? Like, there are a million other explanations other than a extremely advanced mind control regime that no one managed to engineer for decades later. Like, I don't know. I mean, we got the German scientists, right? We would have been way farther ahead in mind control if they had this, prior to the war, right? They hadn't even been in power to have developed those methods. So anyway, after Hitler took control in Germany, Ruden's organizational structure was internalized as part of the Nazi political machine. Ruden was appointed head of the Nazi Racial Hygiene Society. We gotta go on eBay and find some membership badges for the Nazi Racial Hygiene Society. With he and his staff joining the task force on heredity, chaired by Himmler, the group that was to institute the famous Nazi sterilization laws. One of Ruden's employees was Joseph Mengele, also known as the Angel of Death. Well,
this guy comes up a lot. Who called him that?
Who?
Who called him that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you know?
No.
Why don't you Jamie it up?
That's why I don't. It's like one of those things that you just hear so often. It's like, but who started that?
Yeah, Jamie it up, and we'll come back to it.
There are a lot of agents running all over the place, but yeah, I'll let you show. Let's get another one going. Okay, so Joseph Mengele.
Yep. Also known as the Angel of Death, who was to become the medical commandant of Auschwitz and perform his own horrific experimentation upon inmates of the camp. In 1936, the direct predecessor of the CIA's more famous MK Ultra mentioned, ding, 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 mind control operation was launched at the New York State Psychiatric Institute, funded by the Freemasonic Scottish Rite Northern Supreme Council, and supervised by Dr. Nolan D.C. Lewis, the Masonic field representative of research on dementia praecox. The program was directed by Winfried Overholser, a prominent Freemason and superintendent of St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Washington, D.C., where much CIA... What?
That's where Ezra Pound got put.
Uh-oh.
It's still operating, too.
Sandbatch, would you like to stay in the Ezra Pound suite?
I've been there before.
Oh, very good. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Where much of CIA mind control experimentation would later take place. In 1943, Overholser went on to become the chairman of the Truth Drug Committee for the OSS, among the earliest mind control research programs instituted by American intelligence. Son of Haster sends $5 saying, I'm thinking we're back.
I'm thinking we are. Thanks for the $5.
We are back. Thank you for the $5. Let's see.
Sneed those super.
Be sure to super those sneed chats. Randall Shirker says we'll see if he mentions it, but a lot of Nazi mind control folks were picked up in Operation Paperclip. Sidney Gottlieb worked alongside a few. Gottlieb honestly is not my favorite. Mind control guy. Like, I think he was a little loosey-goosey, but it's fine. Let's see. Where was I? Chairman of the Truth Drug Committee. In 1936, Ernst Ruden's assistant, Dr. Franz Kallmann, after being exposed in Germany as being half Jewish, a Mischling, emigrated to America, where he established the Medical Genetics Department of the New York State Psychiatric Institute, an operation also funded by the Scottish Rite. In the preface to his Masonic-funded study of schizophrenics, Kallmann wrote that schizophrenics were a source of maladjusted crooks and the lowest types of criminal offenders. So true. Even the faithful believers in liberty would be happier without those. He added, I am reluctant to admit that the necessity for different eugenics programs for democratic and fascist communities. There is neither biological nor sociological differences between a democratic and a totalitarian schizophrenic. Amazing. Shout out to all my totalitarian schizophrenics. We got 111 of you watching right now. I love every single one of you.
We have every single one.
We have 111 totalitarian schizophrenics. That's the name of LMD fans now. Totalitarian schizophrenics. You know how the content creators like to come up with names for their fans, for their viewers. Yeah. We got totalitarian schizophrenics. We're going to shorten it to
like sandwiches more.
We're going to shorten it to TSs. After World War II, Ottmar Verscher, who had procured funds for Mengele's experimentation at Auschwitz, was hired by the Rockefeller-funded Bureau of Human Heredity in Denmark, and Ruden, Verscher, and Kallmann participated in founding the still active American Society of Human Genetics. Kallmann was elected director of the organization and would hold that position until 1965. The American Society of Human Genetics is primarily responsible for the current 3 billion Human Genome Project, headquartered at Cold Springs Harbor, the historical center of American eugenics study that is the forefront of the news today, which is, of course, since been completed. He wrote this in 1999, remember. Randall Shirker, $2. I'm not a normie. I'm a schizo. That's right. Sex Freakman. You've heard of E-Ack. Get ready for T-Skits. Right. That's right. Put it in your profiles, everyone. Let's see. The relation of eugenics to British psychiatry bears examination. The primary controlling body for psychiatry in England is the British National Association for Mental Health, formed in 1944 and initially run by the mentally unstable Montague Norman, previously of the Bank of England. The group originally met at Norman's London home, where he and Nazi economics minister Hjalmar Schacht had met. What?
Scheimar.
Scheimar?
Yeah, maybe. He's what
It's not Hjalmar?
I think actually that's close enough on second listen.
Yeah. All right.
He actually, if you really want to get nasty deep with him, he actually spoke a dialect of German that's no longer extant.
That's kind of sick.
Well, I mean, he was from I think he's actually Danish, but the dialect of German he would have grown up speaking was Plaxdeutsch, which sounds different,
Interesting. It's kind of like I like, okay, so it's a dialect that doesn't exist anymore, but is it it's just like a Yat accent, it's just
pretty much.
Yeah. Let's see. Had met in the 1930s to arrange financing for Hitler. The National Association for Mental Health is a renaming and public relations sanitization of the National Councils of Mental Hygiene, earlier one of the primary proponents for eugenics programs worldwide, and a group that broadly collaborated with Nazi eugenics practitioners prior to World War II. It can be seen that the current British psychiatric establishment proceeds in a direct line from earlier eugenics establishment, much the same way as the majority of movers and shapers in American politics have come from eugenics proactive families. In 1948, the National Association for Mental Health joined forces with the United Nations and the Tavistock Institute.
Oh, man.
A long-term,
maybe the first in-text mention of the Tavistock Institute on LMD.
I feel like it was briefly mentioned in Aberration in the Heartland of the Real.
Maybe, yeah.
A long-term collaboration between British military intelligence and psychiatry. NAMI and Tavistock convened at an International Congress of Mental Health and the Ministry of Health in London. A World Federation of Mental Health was formed there to coordinate planetary psychological operations. The head of the World Federation was chosen, Brigadier General Dr. John Rawlings Rees, who was also the head of Tavistock. Co-director was Frank Fremont Smith, the chief medical officer of the Macy Foundation, an organization that was later to be primary funding source for the CIA's Professor Cyril Burt. For the CIA's MKUltra mind control project. Vice presidents of NAMI include Tavistock psychiatrist and eugenics activist Professor Cyril Burt, Dr. Hugh Crichton Miller, a founder of Tavistock, psychiatrist Dr. David Henderson, author of Psychiatry and Race Betterment. Put that in your basket. Lord Thomas Jeeves Horder, the president of the Eugenics Society of Great Britain and the Family Planning Association. Pro-Nazi psychiatrist Carl Jung, which is really, really laying it on fairly thick about Jung, who is also the psychiatrist for the Dulles family.
I mean, he kind of was for a while.
But it was... He really liked the...
there's Jung's professional life that people don't ever really look into. He did, for instance, his Tavistock lectures, which were delivered, guess where? Were some of the most important ones ever, and nobody ever even reads them anymore. And if people did read them, they would be like, well, no shit, everybody knows this, but at the time that was hot.
I do have the complete set of the Black books, and I haven't read all of them, but the two that I have read, up two of 5 or 6 that I have read, there's nothing in there that is remotely like Nazi, other than like the idea, other than like, you know, you could say that he was like closer to the Thule Society in the sense that he did believe in racial memory, but there wasn't anything that where the praxis would have.
Yeah, I mean, that's where he's in that matrix. He's like literally the two poles you mentioned. He's somewhere in there.
Still, but going from that to say, you know, pro-political Nazi is like, Keith is laying it on heavy.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
So, yeah, anyway, Carl Jung, who was also the psychiatrist for the Dulles family, Dr. Winfried Overholzer, representative of the Scottish Rite Masons, and Dr. Alfred Frank Treadgold of the British Ministry of Health's Committee on Sterilization. Let me see here. Yeah. Although eugenics organizations and activists sought deep cover after the defeat of Hitler, something of the stench of the death camps clinging to the subject, these same programs to weed out the inferiors from mankind would continue, with the same personnel or their successors in charge of the programs. Working out of the family offices of the Rockefellers in the United States, the Eugenics Society now metamorphosed into the Society for the Study of Social Biology. Although it has been a carefully guarded secret by the watchdogs of the mainstream media, eugenics programs were never discontinued worldwide, with involuntary sterilization programs continuing in many countries to this day. Not the right ones, but continuing. Information has only recently surfaced that sterilization programs for those considered to be unfit because of genetics or behavior continued to exist in Scandinavia and in France until the 1970s. At the same time, massive involuntary sterilization programs continue to be implemented, in the third world. I don't believe you. I don't believe it. There's too many of them. If there are massive involuntary sterilization programs going on in the third world, then my God, we need to fund those because there are so many, despite the sterilization programs. What is happening? Let's see here. Eugenics practice has continued in Australia, where more than 1,000 intellectually disabled women have been illegally sterilized since 1991. Wow, a whole 1,000 abos. The human rights and equal opportunity.
Abos and the pygmies that they killed.
What?
You know, the abos killed all of the pygmies in Australia.
They had little itty bitty Australians.
Yeah, dude. Dude, this is wild. Like, there's like living record. First of all, the pygmies in native to Africa were treated by the British colonials as literally wildlife, and so they appear in like children's wildlife explainers.
Truly amazing.
And there are photographs of them. These are not even like controversial photographs either. Like, everybody who knows these, like yeah, that's them. And but it was the Aboriginal anti-colonial movement. They were afraid that they would be exposed as not the indigenous Australians, and they killed all of the pygmies.
Brilliant. And nobody ever said anything. No one ever said anything about the abos killing all the pygmies. No one ever said that. You heard it here first, folks. The abos killed the pygmies. Justice for the pygmies.
There's like websites about it and shit.
Justice for the pygmies.
Yeah.
Well, don't ask about the Maori's culinary customs either.
Right.
But anyway, Australia is for the ethnic British and their Thai wives. Let's see here. Where did I go? Race betterment, etc. Although eugenics sorry, hold on. 1991, there we go. The Human Rights and Equal Opportunity Commission discovered that 1,043 sterilization operations, only 17 of them approved by the court as mandated by Australian law, had been performed. Wow, they have to be. Man, I want to know about the 17 mandated by the court. The number of such operations may, in fact, have been several times as high, since only operations performed using medical insurance were registered. In 1974, federal district court judge Gerhard Gessel estimated that over the last few years, between 100,000 and 150,000 low-income persons had been sterilized under federally funded programs in the United States. Gessel stated an indefinite number of those sterilized were improperly coerced into accepting sterilization. One of the prime target groups for sterilization in the United States has been the Native American population. According to Ruthin Evanoff, an article titled Reproductive Rights and Occupational Health, states that overall, at least 25% of the Native women of childbearing age have been sterilized, although the total population number is less than 1 million. Recent reports estimate that the percentage sterilized in northern Cheyenne, 80%. An off-cited justification for current eugenics practice is the elimination of violence in society. This time, millions of dollars are being spent on research into the control of violence through genetic means. In 1992, a report was produced jointly by the National Academy of Science and the National Research Council, titled Understanding and Preventing Violence. Among the groups funding the report were the Centers for Disease Control, the U.S. Justice Department, and the National Science Foundation. The report suggested that more studies should be done on biological and genetic factors in violent crime. I can think of some. And suggested that the higher crime rate among black males might come from a genetic predisposition. True. In England, concerns are similar. The Department of Health has recently commissioned research into a delinquency gene called Fragile X. According to the London Study Times, it is believed by some scientists that 1 in every 259 women carry the defective Fragile X, which causes a lack of brain protein, resulting in antisocial behavior. Health officials are planning to engage in mass screening so that women who carry the defective gene can be alerted and induced to abort their children. Why not just breed berserkers? As long as you know, right? As long as you know and acknowledge the genetic difference, you don't actually need to kill them. You could use them, but use them for what they're good at, right? Use them for being berserkers. Yeah, interesting. Hey, did you ever find out who invented the Angel of Death moniker for Mengele?
Yeah, they just claimed it was Holocaust survivors, so I'm going to go ahead and
say
never happened.
Yeah, it never happened. Yeah, it never happened. Was the phrase Angel of Death in Yiddish, or was it in English? What was it in? Another good question.
Yeah, that's another. Maybe doesn't say actually.
Yeah, give me the specific citation.
What is this in
Yiddish? Claude, you fucking dickhead.
And this is GPT.
GPT, you fucking faggot.
Claude is working too hard on something else.
Claude is working far too hard. Sex frequency. Fragile X, the less acceptable brother of Malcolm X. Yeah. Let's see. An ideological, chapter 3, dumbing us to death. An ideological fifth column subverted American education in the early days of the 20th century. With the leader of the movement, Daniel Colt Gilman, the first president of Johns Hopkins University and the Carnegie Institute. Gilman studied at the University of Berlin in 1854 to 1855, the same time that Wilhelm Wundt taught there. After Gilman, Wundt's materialist spin on subjects of mind and soul, or lack thereof.
Materialist spin on it, yeah.
The materialist spin, or lack thereof, would dominate the thinking of the most influential of American educators. The result was that children would soon after be viewed as something akin to lab rats, to be put through mazes, their characters molded at the whims of the educational totalitarians. Another form of Germanic thinking informed Gilman's views. He was a member of the Skull and Bones Society. Skull and Bones is a highly secret, ritualistic society based at Yale that has been called the most powerful organization in America. I don't know if you know this, but checking in on the Skull and Bones, I think it was a couple years ago, they celebrated that their incoming class of freshmen were entirely non-white. So
they did do that.
They did do
That's
that.
incredible.
So who's in control now?
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, they also weren't like East Asians either. So
what the fuck were they?
They were browns and blacks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Jeez.
Yep. Now they're just the Bone Thugs in Harmony. Incredibly, Skull and Bones may be a front for that most mysterious of secret societies, the Illuminati. Okay. The German organization from which Skull and Bones obtained its charter appeared within a year after outlawing of Adam Weishaupt's group in Bavaria, and additionally, an inscription found in the Sanctum Sanctorum, or Holy of Holies, of the Bonesmen at Yale is nearly identical in wording to that of a ceremony cited in Proofs of a Conspiracy, an early condemnation of the Illuminati by Robinson. Like the Illuminati, Skull and Bones initiates referred to the group as the Order. Like the Freemasons, like the Elks Club, refer to it as the Order. You know, I just want to say that if you're an edgelord college student and you want to like have a cool club and you read Proofs of a Conspiracy, then you should you would probably be like, we're gonna take that fucking oath. We're gonna take the oath, right? That is a way more reasonable heredity of the Skull and Bones than that they're secretly the Illuminati. Anyway, since the formation of the Skull and Bones, about 2,500 persons have been inducted into the secret group, with a small group of Eastern establishment families forming the core of the group. These families include the Allen, Bundy, Gilman, Perkins, Wadsworth, Phelps, and Lord families, and the Bushes. Other families who rose to wealth in the 18th and 19th centuries have been added to this group, including Harriman, Davidson, Rockefeller, Payne, Pillsbury, and Weyerhaeuser families. A third group, not Bonesmen, have acted as intermediaries between Skull and Bones and the financial hub of London. This group includes the Warburg, Schiff, Guggenheim, and Meyer families. Wow, what do they have in common? Undoubtedly, the most important influence that Skull and Bones has had on the world is through the world of politics. Since the turn of the century, the direction of American statecraft has been largely steered by prominent Bonesmen from the Harriman, Bundy, Taft, Stimson, Bush, and other families, although I do not recommend that you hold our breath waiting for the establishment media to avail you of this fact. According to accounts of the time, members of Skull and Bones took over the administration of Yale University in the late 1800s, while Daniel Coit Gilman was employed there. And it is reported that all presidents of Yale since that time have been either Bonesmen or closely affiliated with the group. Yale and Skull and Bones have provided fertile recruiting grounds for American intelligence agencies, in an in-house club for Bonesmen existing in the CIA, according to Covert Action Information Bulletin. The term spook, CIA jargon applied to spies, in fact, was a Yale expression designating a member of the campus secret society. Interesting apocrypha there. I like it if it's true. I like it a lot. After becoming head of Johns Hopkins University, Daniel Coit Gilman hired another Wundt-trained specialist who, not coincidentally, happened to be a Bonesman. This was G. Stanley Hall, who took over the psychological lab at the university. Hall also founded the American Psychological Association and the American Journal of Psychology, and mentored the career of Fabian socialist and New World educator John Dewey. You know what? That's why I don't organize my library according to the Dewey Decimal System, because I don't want creeping socialism in my book collections. Dewey, who went on to become the most influential teacher of the century, also studied under George Sylvester Morris, a Hegelian philosopher who had taken his doctorate at the University of Berlin under the same teachers as Gilman. Dewey was among the first to promote school as a mechanism for the creation of a socialist world order and as a forum for enforcing conformity of the masses rather than a place to learn the 3 R's. In 1899, Dewey said, "Children who know how to think for themselves spoil the harmony of the collective society, which is coming where everyone is interdependent." Yes, feed him into the wood chipper. One reason for the success of Dewey's progressive education is that it was backed to the hilt by Rockefeller and Carnegie money. Dewey, for many years, was the honorary president of the National Education Association, founded in 1857. The group was founded as a lobbying organization for teachers, but soon aligned itself behind a scarlet psycho-political banner of progressive education. A delightful sounding term that conceals the brainwashing modus operandi pioneered by the Soviets. By the turn of the century, the NEA was working in full support of Dewey's plans, advocating the dumbing down of the masses into a malleable unit, as well as a one-world Fabian socialist view. A 1939 NEA report avowed a dying laissez-faire must be completely destroyed, and all of us, including the owners, must be subjected to a large degree of social control. This one-worldly view persists in current NEA literature, but it has been recontextualized in recent times as a liberal viewpoint. The group now issues the following pronunciamento in its NEA journal. The teacher can do much to prepare the hearts and minds of children for global understanding and cooperation. At the very top of all the agencies which will assure the coming of world government must stand the school, the teacher, and the organized profession. Another American student of Wundt was James McKean Cattell, who was Wundt's assistant in Leipzig in the years 1883 to 1886. Cattell was also deeply influenced by Francis Galton, the founder of eugenics. In 1891, Cattell took over the psychology department at Columbia University and spent the rest of his life disseminating Wundtian eugenics doctrine through the abundance of magazines and reference works he edited and wrote. These and other materialist Wundtians and Fabian one-worlders funded by the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, and others intent on the suppression and pacification of the populace of the world completely remade the face of American education in the 20th century. The agenda that they pursued has culminated in the all-too-familiar situation of American education today, in which the majority of persons graduated from high school are functionally illiterate and ill-prepared for doing anything else than saying yes to Big Brother and his telescreens. Isn't that right, Sandbatch?
Yeah, Big Brother.
He said yes. He said yes to me. I'm his brother. Oni-san.
Oh, man.
That's right. Oh, man. Hey, what are the 3 R's again?
Rest, relax, and recreation.
Oh, all right.
It's wild. There's an actually corresponding, totally opposite 3-letter.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yep. Oh, them.
Retards, rodeos, and niggers. That's probably the other ones. Let's see. From the standpoint of, man, my voice is like dying. I'm losing it. From the standpoint of the social controllers, there are many advantages to keeping the populace stupid, not the least being that the less intelligent a person is, the more susceptible he is to exterior control. I don't think that's true. I think that's actually totally false. I think probably especially because someone who has reached the heights of education, right, is probably the most indoctrinated. And so you have, this is the grug and the enlightened versus the midwit, right?
Right.
Like most people who reach high levels of education are just midwits who rely on credentialism. And so my thought is that they're probably the most indoctrinated. A Grug just can't be. Doesn't have the opinion. Like a random gangbanger is not like super in line with global Fabianism, right? He just does whatever is like seems most appealing to him in the moment, right? So yeah, I don't think you're actually controllable if you're like 75 IQ. Like you're not controllable. Currently, one of the primary thrusts in American educational brainwashing goes by the variety of names, including mastery learning, world-class education, Common Core learning. Wow, he was early at Common Core. He was really early. 1999, that's really early in being...
I don't like him anymore. He's like he's like jumped over from based into the category of people I specifically don't like.
What, boomer?
Yeah, pretty much.
He is really early on Common Core. Like being alarmed by Common Core in 1999, that's like stay woke, bud. Anyway, let's see. And outcome-based education, but which is most commonly referred to as Goals 2000. Written into law by William Jefferson Clinton in 1994, Rockefeller monies have launched literally hundreds of books into the education market. Educational market pushing Goals 2000. Promoted by National Education Association, the literature describes Goals 2000 as an academic behavior modification plan based on control theory and reality therapy. Reality therapy. That's a great one. I'm a reality therapist. The simple purpose of Goals 2000 is populist control and promotion of the totalitarian world order. Instead of teaching children the academic skills that most parents favor, Goals 2000 and its educational offshoots emphasize life adjustment skills, family life education, and environmental stewardship. Academic study is de-emphasized while cooperative attitudes are mandated, including attitudes which significantly seem to bolster a eugenics agenda in the mind of the child, such as the attempted normalizing of homosexuality and playboyism, and abortion as a form of birth control. Playboyism. Providing a hint of what the future of American education is going to be like is the Goals 2000 program that has been adopted in 40 states, the Parents as Teachers program. It is a program that would be more aptly termed the Teachers as Parents program. Under this plan, children are given a personal computer code number by which they can be tracked the entirety of their life. A parent educator visits the homes of students a minimum of 8 times a year to see that mom and dad are giving Junior his tranquilizers and doing their bit in programming a good little robot. Another offshoot of Goals 2000 is the Oregon option, which was signed into being. It's an interesting way to say it. Signed into being on December 5th, 1994. First there was the word, and the word was law, and Clinton signed it into law on December 5th, 1994. By the entire Clinton cabinet and members of the Oregon congressional delegation. This program was developed by the administrations of former Oregon governors Mark Hatfield and Neil Goldschmidt. Early life check. And was drafted under the direction of Goldschmidt, a member of the Trilateral Commission. John Birch Society. Shout out. Shout out to the John Birch Society. Persons backing the plan include members of the Council on Foreign Relations. Hands up for the Birchers.
Council on Foreign. We've just gone through the entire lineup, and it's like we're in like the introduction.
Yeah, I know.
This is like the list of ships.
The World Bank, the Carnegie Foundation.
It's the list of ships, but the topic is lists. It's a list of ships that are allowed to create lists of ships. That's right.
Council on Foreign Relations, World Bank, Carnegie Foundation, and Rand Corporation. If you wrote this today, it would have the World Health Organization. One of the main thrusts of the Oregon option is to seamlessly transition children from from school to the industrial workforce with apprenticeships provided by large corporations. Wow, real off base there, bud. Real off base. They were gonna go from school to the industrial workforce. Wow, pretty fucking stupid of Clinton to also sign NAFTA.
Yeah,
like what the fuck are you talking about? Again, under the Oregon option, all children conceived in Oregon are entered into a huge database. All expectant parents will. Well, what else do you think? Of course they are. All expectant parents will be required to attend parenting classes. Once the child is attending school, home visits will be undertaken by school teachers and administrators to determine if the family is fit for rearing the child. Those families deemed to be unfit or offering developmental neglect can be ripped asunder, with the children shunted into foster homes or state-run facilities, which is clearly a better place for most children. Furthering the goals of the social planners, perhaps the most destructive current trend of the educational establishment is the wholesale drugging of students. Drugs, especially amphetamines and Ritalin, are commonly used to dose school-aged children throughout America. Ritalin is a highly dangerous stimulant that is, according to the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, fun as fuck, no lie, fam, more addictive than cocaine. It has also a wide variety of other negative side effects, including nausea, insomnia, inhibition of growth, nervous tics, potential brain damage, and engaging in Operation Barbarossa. A huge estimate of the number of U.S. school children being drugged with Ritalin is, a current estimate. I don't know why I said a huge estimate. A current estimate of the huge number. There's just no huge there. I'm just adding it mentally. Maybe I need some Ritalin.
it happens.
Of the U.S. school children being drugged with Ritalin is 3 to 5%, or in excess of 2 million kids. Since most of the children to whom this drug is being given are male, it is estimated that 10 to 12% of all male school children in the U.S. between the ages of 6 and 14 are being zombified with Ritalin. They tried to give me Ritalin, and my mom literally slapped my teacher. This drugging is being done because of alleged brain malfunctions that cause the children to be hyperkinetic or hyperactive. I went fucking kinetic. My mom went fucking kinetic. I don't know. Maybe she's got maybe I got the Fragile X. In most cases, the children have been diagnosed by their teachers, almost none of whom have the medical credentials to do such an assessment. So true. Actually, having a master's in education is like the inverse of what it should be, right? It really shows you are like ill prepared to teach a child. The main problems that drugs are supposedly used to handle are classified as attention deficit disorder and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. ADHD really replaced ADD. Like, what is ADD, right? If not ADHD? I don't know. These conditions have, in fact, never been proven to exist outside of the imagination of medicos and societrists. Interesting. But instead are catch-alls, or catch-alls that include a wide variety of common childhood problems, including inability to concentrate, nervousness, fidgeting, interrupting people, and disciplinary problems. No consistent brain abnormalities have been demonstrated to be linked to ADD or ADHD, although brain disorders, including cortical atrophy, have been shown to have been caused, in some cases, by long-term treatment with Ritalin and other drugs commonly prescribed for children. No shit. The symptom that educators are treating with drugs may, in fact, have nothing to do with congenital brain defects, as they have been argued, but with a number of other less mysterious factors, including poor nutrition, fostered by parents either too poor, irresponsible, or dumbed down themselves to provide decent food for their kids, encouraged by a criminal food production industry more intent on moving cheap, sugar-coated, chemically dyed, pesticide-poisoned swill than in providing healthy food. Sugar, pesticides, and chemical additives may be a key factor causing what is termed ADD and ADHD. In my opinion, over-reifies it, but, make America healthy again. I think everyone should be able to get behind not having bullshit in your food. Television and other media. Kids are estimated to watch 6 hours per day of an electronic medium deliberately designed to foster a short attention span. With a quick 3 to 5 second visual cuts purposely stimulating the kind of artificial agitation that induces a child to respond to commercials. Is it any wonder that these kids have a short attention span? Jamie, what are the kids using today? Oh, TikTok. How quick are those? Pretty fucking quick. Another negative aspect of the pop media. What?
Nothing. I'm just repeating things you say.
Yeah, that's right. That's
I'm gonna
right.
Go get a glass of water.
Okay. Hey, while Sandbatch is away, everyone.
You'll continue reading.
Wait.
I'm right here.
Oh. Wow, if I needed water, I'd have to walk from my office 150 feet to the nearest sink. Anyway. Another negative aspect of the pop media is the abundance of sexual and violent images disseminated via TV, movies, hyper-violent video games like Mortal Kombat, and music with violent and sexual gangsta ghetto rap. There are many studies showing that when television is introduced to a community, that violent acts double over the course of a few years. I want to know how we can do that with television. How you can actually do that study. We're gonna have to go to North Sentinel Island with a bunch of CRTs.
You know, that's one of those uncontacted tribes that's been contacted so many times. I don't think they really count anymore.
I mean, everyone else in the world is a cryptid to the North Sentinelese. Right?
Though the only people that ever go out there are fucking Indians, and there's a question: have the Indians been properly contacted?
Real questions. Yeah. Wasn't there like a Singaporean guy who died recently?
Yes, that was a while ago, but it was
probably
that was like the last North Sentinelese flavored news for sure.
I mean, I bet we could go there. We should just go there. We should just go there with some ARs and just fucking show them what's what. Like, you know, they think they're big shit with their fucking bows and arrows and stuff. Fuck them. North Sentinelese, you're too big for your britches. Yeah, that's for all. You don't even have britches. You're too big for your fucking grass skirt. Fuck you. We could take them. A squad of, 15 strapping Nebraska boys could take out the entire North Sentinelese civilization. Guaranteed. As an example of the character of current media that is aimed at children, while waiting in an office recently, I was surprised to find a depiction of full female nudity when I picked up a Batman comic for the first time in many years. Far be it for me to put down female nudity, but such images are certain to provide a potent distraction to children entering puberty. Oh, Jim Keith, you dog. As well as to encourage a eugenics-friendly playboyism of the kind advocated by Hugh Hefner, himself an admitted acolyte of eugenicist Alfred Kinsey. Families who have taken the Dr. Spock or New Age amalgam to heart are another source of problems in childhood discipline. For a kid whose role model is Tupac, Ice-T, Kiss, or Marilyn Manson, this kid likes watching Law and Order? What are we talking about? And whose fantasies are fed by the quick-cut, toxified kink of MTV. Timeout is not going to be an effective disciplinary action. You got to pop a cap in their ass. Little parental. This is very 90s core. Like all of these talking points are very 90s core.
Yeah, I forget that a lot of our audience wasn't even alive then. I don't know. We got a pretty good spread.
We do. I also really love that Kiss. Yeah, Kiss is the. Yeah, oh yeah. Here we go. QG. Oh yeah, Kiss, real hardcore. Yeah, no kidding. Kiss is like the most. I mean, they're damn near yacht rock.
I didn't even know Transgression. I thought they were making fun of Transgression.
I don't know. I think they were actually supposed to be alarming. Like, it's just that they like started in the fucking 70s and like,
right.
And they were just like, oh yeah, it's going to be really transgressive. One of our guys is going to paint his face like a little kitty cat. He's going to be a kitty cat. He's going to be a kitty cat. Like, it's just okay, guys, come on. Yeah, honestly, yeah, Son of Haster is right. Like Kiss and Jimmy Buffett, like it's the fucking same shit. Like, come on. Anyway, little parental control with kids at all. The prevailing economy, in this economy, 1999, the middle of the dot-com boom, by the way. Regardless of the praises of, wow, Rapegate Bill, love it. Love Rapegate Bill. Jim Keith is winning me back with Rapegate. The prevailing economy, regardless of the praises of Rapegate Bill, is designed so that both parents usually have to stay slave full time, leaving very few moments for contact with the kids. The situation of the single parent family is usually worse. Wow, this is back when Elizabeth Warren was based. All right. Jim Keith has a really weird political alignment, doesn't he?
What's the second time someone has brought up to me in days that Liz Warren used to be based?
She wasn't ever based. She just made the point that like the two income trap was well considered. Like it was a well considered argument. It's still valid, and she just like she abandoned it because she was uncomfortable with the conclusions of her own argument, which is that women shouldn't work. So, finally, there is a problem with the nature of public schooling itself, which does not challenge children to learn or to think creatively, but instead indoctrinates them to conform to their prison-like surroundings. I personally would not like to endure again these circumstances of regimentation and immobilization, sitting in an uncomfortable desk with hands folded and mouth clamped shut for hours every day. The children are forced to put up with in public schools. I would also not relish again being forced to drag my eyes over and memorize deadly dull texts that no sane adult would ever read if given a choice in the matter. In circumstances like these, it's no surprise that any child with an ounce of wit or energy would rebel and begin to longingly ogle his father's gun cabinet. That is not how I thought that statement was going to end. Was completely out of nowhere for me. That was not the end that I was expecting. But amazing. Yes, very good. Jim, you've won me back. These are some of the real causes of ADD and ADHD in school. I love blaming school for school shootings. I love this. I love blaming school for school shootings. That is so good. Where do they take place? At a school. Don't have schools, don't have school shootings. Yes, let's do it.
It's like really, that's the kind of the right take.
It is. It's a great take. I mean, schooling is not that useful. Like like autodidacts. Let the autodidacts autodidact themselves and redact everyone else. There are some of the real causes of ADD and ADHD in schools, symptoms for which children are being treated with Ritalin and other addictive drugs. A dramatic example of the results of drugging children may have been played out in April 20th, 1999, Hitler's birthday, in Littleton, Colorado, when two young men in black trench coats systematically
I wonder, does this happen over and over again because of a tendency in the researcher or because of a tendency in the underlying?
No. I just said that.
Oh.
I just pointed out what.
But it was April 20th, wasn't it? This is by far the most common date that appears in this show.
But Harris and Klebold did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Like they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
That was not an accident. But no, Dave McGowan was really obsessed with like mentioning the proximity to Hitler's birthday and Walpurgis Nacht. Like that was just Dave McGowan's thing. So we're just committing to the bit. We're committing to the bit. Anyway, in Littleton, Colorado, where two young men in black trench coats systematically killed 12 of their schoolmates. And then themselves, obviously. Eric Harris, one of the shooters, had been turned down from joining the Marines a scant 5 days prior when they were informed that he was being prescribed the psychiatric antidepressant drug fluvoxamine maleate, or Luvox, a chemical relative of Ritalin. The American Journal of Psychiatry reports that our observations confirm the efficacy of fluvoxamine Luvox in the treatment of depression, but suggests that this drug can induce mania in some patients when it is given at a normal dose. The coroner's report showed that Harris had therapeutic levels of Luvox in his bloodstream at the time of the shooting, and friends of Harris state that the young man was attempting to quit using the drug in the days prior to the shooting. There is no indication that the drugging of children is going to diminish in the near future. Quite the contrary. In an address by James Bosco at the National School Boards Association, he said, "In my crystal ball, I see that the teacher of the 21st century will not be trained in schools of education as we know them today, but rather will be trained in a school which is an amalgam of contemporary schools of education, medicine, and pharmacy. A considerable portion of the teacher's training will be devoted to understanding physiology and psychopharmacology, which will equip the teacher to administer drugs which affect learning and learning-related behaviors." Wow. That was not how it went. Nor should we be surprised, since the advent of progressive education schools have not been intended to educate, but simply to regiment. Let's see. Randall Shirker, for another $5, says, "I find it funny that in Behold a Pale Horse, Bill Cooper made a brief point about Columbine being an SSRI-linked situation in 1991. What? He did? I don't think that's right. I don't think he was that fucking prescient. I don't think that's possible. Find me the citation, Randall Shirker. Anyway, he has the book on him. It is resting atop of his head. He's practicing his etiquette, walking with a straight line, like a proper lady. Anyway, all right. Chapter 4, Tavistock.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Boom, boom,
Boom. One prominent locus of...
I've actually never heard... You know what? Go.
What? No, tell me. You've never heard what?
I don't think I've ever read any of these parapolitical takes on Tavistock. I'm really curious because, my kind of sort of goofy position is I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool, actually.
Jim Keith seems so. I don't think he would be. I don't think you'd call him parapolitical. Yeah. Jim Keith is definitely like right, boomer right. You would say. It seems like he's willing to name every single group except the group. Yeah. So boomer right.
English psychologist.
Yeah. One prominent locus of world control, its influence spreading through the media, the scientific establishment, corporations, governments, and the military, is the Tavistock Institute. Tavistock, a collaborative effort of British military intelligence and the psychiatric establishment, was created in 1921, reportedly on the orders of members of the Royal Institute of International Affairs, also known as Chatham House. The RIIA is an arm of the British Rhodes Round Table Group, founded by British imperialist and Freemason Cecil Rhodes.
See, now this is
what?
Sketch. Maybe not wrong, but interesting open. All right, keep going.
The Round Table, functioning through a myriad of offshoots, has been the century's most effective proponent for the creation of a one-world government. Tavistock relies on grants for its operations from the Rockefellers, Carnegies, and the British Home Office, and large anonymous grants. Initially run by British military intelligence officer Major John Rawlings from its inception, Tavistock was intended as a coordinating center for planetary social control, using psychological shock troops, a term coined by Rees. These shock troops in white lab coats have fanned out across the planet infiltrating organizations in order to implement policies deemed productive by the organization's strategists. At core, Tavistock consists of Freemasonic British intelligence agents collaborating with the Hydra heads of world psychiatry to achieve two goals. One world order where the nation state has been abolished and a single totalitarian control center established. And number two, the simultaneous psychological control of the world, or, using their term, societry. Even the official literature of Tavistock is candid in admitting its broad world mind control orientation. In 1932, German psychologist Kurt Lewin, one of the creators of the American OSS intelligence network, precursor to the CIA, took over the steering of Tavistock from Rees. Lewin was an early proponent of the use of trauma for reprogramming both individuals and society. His modus operandi, more than merely an analog of the Freemasonic dictum of ordo ab chaos, meaning order out of chaos. Lewin's theory was the origin and definition of the concept of future shock, written by Tavistock associated Alvin Toffler. Although Toffler promotes the idea that current cultural deconstruction and leveling is an accident, it is not. This Tavistock signature approach, this future shock deprogramming, future shock is essentially mold buggyism. Like that is his kind of his theory of history. Let's see here. Recurring methodology. The Tavistock signature approach, this future shock deprogramming of the subject to a vegetative state through torture and trauma for subsequent reprogramming, is the recurring methodology for world mind control as well as cultural programming in the 20th century. Dr. William Sargent of the Tavistock Institute reported to have been at the time working on the CIA's MK Ultra mind control program. In his 1957 book, Battle for the Mind, a physiology of conversion and brainwashing, elaborated on Lewin's theories by stating, various beliefs can be implanted in many people after brain function has been sufficiently disturbed by accidental or deliberately induced fear, anger, or excitement. Of the results caused by such disturbances, the most common one is temporarily impaired judgment and heightened suggestibility. Its various group manifestations are sometimes classed under the heading of herd instinct and appear most spectacularly in wartime, during severe epidemics, and in all similar periods of common danger, which increase anxiety and so individual and mass suggestibility. Hey, Sandbatch.
Yep.
Does that sound familiar to you at all?
Yeah, all of this sounds familiar.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. 1 sec. Talk, say something. Nope, not going to do it. All right.
Me?
Yeah, you. You're the only one here.
That's true. Hold on. Are you still there?
Yes, now I am.
So I've been fighting with my hardware.
Yeah. Wow, while we're streaming, you're doing that?
No, I fucked it up.
Oh my God!
The sound went away for a while. The sound went away because I have I have like 30 different audio input forms, and it like I lost you for a while.
Oh, condolences.
What's the question, though?
Don't worry about it. We'll
don't worry about it.
We're making dead air right now. This is basically dead air, right? We're just wasting our audience's time. Look, I see we just dropped 5 people. That's how it is. All right. During World War II, Tavistock ran the British Psychological Warfare Directorate, and the group maintained its military orientation after the war. Tavistock agents have penetrated American intelligence agencies, psychiatric institutions.
Like, what do you mean penetrated?
Well, nowadays they're all gay, so yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's true. And it was also true then, but like, this is not like The thing with Tavistock that I always have to like stop and point out, every stream my mental image of Sandbatch is set up gets weirder and weirder. It's a pretty normal one, but fuck. Anyway, the the thing about Tavistock is that it's easy to turn them into like a conspiracy or whatever, but it's like they publish several well-respected academic journals. You know, it's like not like they're hiding. You know, they're of all of these like weird societies and shit that get strung through here, they're the most open and easy to learn anything about. You know, they just be like, yeah, come on in, man. You know,
yeah, you can just you can literally just read their shit. It's published.
In fact, one of their rules is that you have to seek them out on purpose.
Yeah. What almost like the Freemasons used to be. Randall Shirker for $5. A lot of what this guy is saying about Tavistock is schizo, but one of the founders confirmed a lot of the comings and goings of what they were doing.
No, the things they actually did, and because it doesn't help that they're British, and like, you know, the British have a thing for sadism that's just like above and beyond the Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
But the like cold institutional sadism, you know what I mean? Like treating their own children like rats in a cage.
Like Jolly West. Yeah.
They're like English people, probably more so than any other people in the world. Whenever they have a child, they look at it as like, ooh, this is just like a model person that I can grow and
my little project.
Yeah, that's literally right. But you know, so the fact that they're like the kings of this like institutional like coldness, and it makes the things that they do seem a lot worse. And some of it is not because they're psychopathic like conspiracy bent on world domination. It's just because they're British.
it's literally just no. These are just Anglos. Don't worry. Randall Shirker for $2 says also not Columbine, but Prozac shooter meme. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean for sure. Like psychopharmacology, you just cannot fuck with people's brain chemistry. Like your plan can't be for people's brain chemistry to be all fucked up forever, right?
Yeah.
Like your plan is you just take this forever. And oh, what does it do? Yeah, no, it's psychoactive every day. You just never reach baseline. That's the plan. Okay, great plan. It's super cool. Yeah. Let's see. During World War II, Tavistock ran the British Psychological Warfare Directorate, and the group maintained its military orientation after the war. Man, everything maintains its military orientation after the war, by the way, including Cold Wars. Tavistock agents have penetrated American intelligence agencies, psychiatric institutions, industry, media, and political organisms, firmly guiding those bodies in alignment with the purposes of the Tavistock controllers. Spreading out from Tavistock, agents have been present at the creation of institutional centers such as the Stanford Research Institute's Center for Advanced Behavioral Sciences and the Sloan School at MIT, the Wharton School of Finance and Business Administration at the University of Pennsylvania. Oh, who went to Wharton?
Donald
John Trump. Yes, that's right.
Randall Shirker says also Prozac, aka there should be an R though.
Fluoxetine
was
recently shown in a 2025 redo of the original trials to be no better than a placebo for depression in kids. Make of that what you will. Well, yeah, but no better than a placebo for depression, but who knows what else it does, right? If we're talking about efficacy for a given thing, right? It could be doing other shit. Like,
Yeah, no, it's like Sex Freakman says, I like how the subtextual through line of LMD is just Anglos and Germans doing the "we don't want your kind here" subhuman meme at each other.
Forever.
There's a lot going on with that comment, Sex Freakman. And one of them is these two groups of people's strange reluctance to admit that there might possibly be a third party in the room that's causing them both problems. They're laser focused on one another historically. This is true. And it's like literally one of those cases of, our benevolent, civilizational uplift versus their vile Frankenstein experiment.
Absolutely.
On balance, I would agree the Anglos look worse, specifically because of just like with like Germany, they come up with like at least stuff like they at least come up with stuff like masturbating machines and so on and so forth. It's at least creative. Like when the British do something, it's like, we put them in a dark room and asphyxiated them with nerve gas.
Dude, the British do not like sex. The British are a fundamentally unsexy people. Like the Germans are perverse.
Yeah.
Like there's no wholesome German sex outside of Bavaria, but like the British are just a fundamentally unsexy people who are not motivated by sex. They're far more motivated by violence as a people.
Violence in like
I don't understand the difference. Yeah.
There's a lot of types of violence.
Yes. Very true. Very Flashman. Yeah. Flashman is the exception, not the rule. But yes, I think Anglos, on balance, come out worse because they did so much improvements to all the areas that they, the Germans, say what you will of them, didn't really colonize anyone, right?
They tried.
Whereas unfortunately, the British succeeded at colonizing a lot of places, and a lot of those places they improved just enough to make them dangerous, and then let them off the leash.
That's literally how it worked. It's like civilizational uplift worked up to a certain, but there's a barrier at which they start doing revolution.
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
Could have told you that, guys.
Vulpus Persona. It says, I don't think the Germans were into eating excrement erotically before the war. Actually, that's a little bit what the war is about. What the war was about. All of a sudden, for no reason at all, people vote for Hitler. Anyway, Sex Freakman, were you there? Were you there? I am that old. Let's see. The Tavistock Network has also influenced and penetrated such groups as SLN, the Rand Corporation, the Hudson Institute, and the Heritage Foundation. Whoa, the Heritage Foundation. A key thrust of Tavistock has been accompanied by the National Training Laboratories, sponsoring group encounter or sensitivity programs involved in breaking down an individual's personality and reconstructing it of the New World Order. It is estimated that, reconstructing it, I skipped a line, along the lines agreeable to the group, a microcosmic intervention intended to gradually bring about the macrocosm of the New World Order. It is estimated that millions of persons have been put through this type of processing, including most America's corporate leaders and officials from the State Department, the Navy, the Department of Education, and the National Education Association. Although touted as a tool for personal and organizational liberation, sensitivity programs are also an effective tool for control along the lines of the group leader desires, as has been effectively demonstrated through the use of similar methods in cubic groups, such as those of the Charles Manson and Jim Jones. Not sure about. I'm becoming a real Jim Jones truther in my old age.
I have no problem with Jim Jones. I don't understand the issue people have with him.
Well, the mass death is generally the first thing they would say. I don't know if you're aware of that one.
No.
Well, you don't know about you don't know the Kool-Aid. What?
I hadn't got to that part yet.
You haven't got to the part of Jim Jones where everyone drinks.
No, he's like, the last time I tuned in, he was like mediating a dispute between two members of the cult, and the punishment involves sticking your hand in a box with a poisonous frog.
Nice. I do that anyway.
I was like, who doesn't like this guy? You know,
who doesn't like him? That's right. Anyway, yeah, I just so when I say that I'm becoming a Jim Jones truther, I don't. I just think that the story of Jonestown in the public consciousness, and also Jim Jones's many very suspicious connections prior to leaving the United States, like is that those are all the real story anyway. Not suggesting that he is a cool dude, son of Hastur. Tavistock is invariably portrayed in its literature as being a non-political organism, but the lie is apparent. As an example, one recent Tavistock project is Smart Cards, a pilot program done in collaboration with Manchester Metropolitan University on behalf of the European Commission. This project for putting a person's work history and skills, including academic accreditation, onto a single ID card is being carried out in Europe and America. It is intended to gradually facilitate the creation of a universally policed and regulated world economic system. Wow. Imagine LinkedIn, massive conspiracy. Yeah. LinkedIn. Yeah. Or I guess maybe that would be Indeed. That would be Indeed.com is the conspiracy. Chapter 5, Injecting Ideology. We are only being told what they want us to know. Probably the most effective method of control ever. This is a real Y2K artifact, isn't it? Like, this is a little bit the none dare call it conspiracy of the late 90s, right? This is just the perfect little tidbit. This is actually the version from after 9/11, and I don't know if he added anything, but one would think that you might have wanted to make a little addendum to the mass control narrative between 1999 and 2002 or 2003 when the update was published. We are only being told what they want us to know. Probably the most effective method of control ever discovered is simple information management. This technique consists of withholding information, disseminating lies, disinformation, or providing misdirection so that we cannot fully comprehend the reality that we deal with and the forces that shape our lives. These deceptive views are projected to the populace through various communications media, but primarily by television, radio, motion pictures, newspapers, magazines, and the internet. No shit. A gauge of elitist thinking on the topic of media control is provided in the work of Eddie Bernays. Good old Eddie Bernays. We know Eddie Bernays, don't we? We love bacon in the morning. Eddie Bernays.
We talked about Tavistock live and in person, too.
Yes, we did. Eddie Bernays. Eddie Bernays, everybody. Nice Bernays sauce. A close friend of the New World Order mastermind H.G. Wells. Bernays wrote Crystallizing Public Opinion in 1928, Propaganda, and also in 1928, and Engineering of Consent. It's a real breakout for him because it wasn't written in 1928. It was from 1955. In Propaganda, Bernays wrote, as civilization becomes more complex and as civilization becomes more complex and as the need for invisible government has been increasingly demonstrated, tactical means have been invented and developed by which public opinion may be regimented. With printing press, a newspaper, the television, the telephone, the telegraph, the teletype, radio, airplanes, ideas can spread rapidly and even simultaneously across the whole of America. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes are formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we never heard of. Whatever attitude one chooses to take toward this condition, it remains a fact that in almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we're dominated by a relatively small number of persons, a trifling fraction of 120 million who understand the mental processes and social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind, and they who harness the social forces and contrive new ways to blind and guile the world. Far from disapproving of this manipulation, Bernays felt that it was vital for the masses to be controlled by propaganda. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in a democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, Sanhedrin, if you will, which is the true ruling power in our country. Bernays also participated in crafting of American psychological warfare programs. It is hardly surprising that he was put in charge of the CBS Communications Network in its early days, just like a certain head of CBS. The single factor that most enables control of the media and its use as a tool of propaganda is monopolistic ownership. 98% of the 1,700 daily newspapers in America are owned by fewer than 15 corporations, with this number's much lower now, with Time Inc. taking about 40% of the total revenues. The three major TV networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, still have the majority of television watching audience. Boy, this is out of date. Monopolistic ownership is reinforced through additional interlocking controls and fail-safe systems. These include the membership of media bosses and workers in such conclaves as the Council on Foreign Relations, Skull and Bones, the Trilateral Commission, and the Bilderbergers, among other groups. Many of the members of these organizations hold memberships in other related elitist social, political, and business groups, ensuring coherent action among those ruling classmates. Membership in one or more of these groups is virtually required to obtain entree to the highest levels of success in the Western world. One is reminded of the statement of ex-CIA Director William Colby, although he was speaking specifically of the American intelligence community. Socially as well as professionally, they click together, forming a sealed fraternity. They ate together at their own special favorite restaurants. They partied almost only among themselves. Their families drifted to each other, so their defenses did not always have to be up. In this way, they increasingly separated themselves from the ordinary world and developed a rather skewed view of that world. Their own dedicated double life became the proper norm. They looked down on the life of the rest of the citizenry. Funny. I wonder what it's like to live a double life. Wonder what that's like for someone to have a pseudonym all the time.
Yeah, to maintain this entire other person, this other world.
These relationships that can never overlap with the other ones. I wonder what that's like.
Yeah.
Would you think that a person can maintain more than two? Perhaps. Who knows? Anyway, according to G. William Domhoff in The Higher Circles, the power elite have created and developed that wonderful field of public relations at an incredible scale. Some of the early practitioners of this art helped scrub the images of robber baron families. Others specialized in the corporate image and corporate conscience. Actually, the robber barons as an insult was actually something that was ginned up by public relations groups, generally funded by the business rivals of the robber barons. Functionally speaking, the public relations departments of large corporations, in conjunction with the giant public relations firms that service many corporations, have become the early warning system of the upper class, picking up and countering the slightest remark or publication that makes funny lines on their sensitive radar. Thanks to them, public opinion is well monitored, with an assist, of course, from the alert social scientists in certain university institutes financed by big corporations and foundations. Wayward opinions, once detected, are duly corrected by a barrage of printed matter and public pronouncements. Intelligence agency penetration of the media began at the same time as the forming of the American media conglomerates in the first half of this century. One of the first and most successful control operations of the media was launched in 1990 with the creation of RCA by Westinghouse, Morgan Guarantee and Trust, General Electric, and the United Fruit Company. The United Fruit Company is honestly, like, in terms of organs of the global American empire, the United Fruit Company is by far one of my favorites. I love all that they did in Central America, allowing it to stay right wing until those bastards at USAID decided we didn't get to have inexpensive bananas. In 1929, David Sarnoff, a close associate of Tavistock, was appointed head of RCA. Shortly afterward, British intelligence set up the Black Chamber intelligence operation in the RCA building in New York under the direction of Sir William Stevenson, codename Intrepid, and General Marlborough Churchill, a relative of Winston. General Churchill would later be instrumental in founding the Macy organization, which would be used as a funding conduit for CIA MK-Ultra mind control operations. All three major American television networks were the offspring of RCA. 3? Don't you mean 4? It's really amazing how much 9/11 did for Fox. Or how much Fox did for 9/11. Who knows? Let's see. Mad Hatter's Baker. Capitalisimo sounds like he has the plague. Yeah, I'm losing my voice. I don't know what happened.
How has this happened? I haven't been able to tell.
Really?
No.
Oh no. I mean, like, I'm just a little hoarse today anyway.
I'm just a little harsh today again. I know you sound great to me.
I'm just a pony. I'm just a prancing pony.
You sound great to me. You know, get out there and give it to those Germans.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We're getting to Harvey Firestein levels.
Mad Hatter's Bank. You know what we need is we need a better social credit score.
We do.
I agree. Like, that's the whole point. Well, there's already one, so it's not a question of not having a social credit system. It's a question of now we got to figure out how to get the best one.
Yeah, I mean, well, we do. I mean, a lot of what a credit score is has in China, there are consequences to the social credit system that are, something that couldn't actually occur if you had a low credit score. But a lot of what a credit score does is the same thing as what a social credit score does. Like, they won't make it impossible for you to ride a plane if you have a 500 credit score, right? But there are obviously people who shouldn't be able to ride a plane, like the people who ride Spirit Airlines. You got to keep them contained. Let's see here.
I'm just doing the dumbest shit tonight. I just shocked myself.
You just shot yourself?
Shocked. SHOCKED.
How'd you do it?
With a cell phone charger.
I mean, that just sounds difficult.
It is difficult. That's the point.
Mad Hatter's banker can't get a nice job with a bad credit score. Yeah, I mean that's true. That's true. It makes it seem like you're unreliable because you are. But you know, there's plenty of people bounce back from things like bankruptcies and things like that. You know, can you go social credit bankrupt? Can you do that? Like, is that possible? That'd be sick
all the time.
You just you go to China. You go to China and you blow up your social credit score, and you're like, I'm social credit bankrupt. Going back to America, see you in 7 years.
We would come up with some stupid shit like that. They dissolve your body to make peptides.
That's where and how do you think they acquired the GLP-1s?
Right.
Through jihad.
Well, GLP-1s are Danish, but like the sketchy thing about Chinese peptides is, I mean, because you know they just use base biomaterials like to construct these things, which means you need substrate.
I'm made of 100% based biomaterials.
Yeah, and the substrate a lot of them use is they just dissolve live rats.
Amazing.
Why?
Hell yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. Get all those tasty amino acids. I'm for it personally. I'm in favor.
I mean, I feel like there's like better ways to do it.
There's better ways to.
One of those instances where the Chinese like seems like they went out of their way to be like
extra Chinese about it.
Yeah.
You met me at a very Chinese time in my life. Sex Freakman says, "Joke's on you. Sending you to America is the penalty for going social credit bankrupt." Ha! Now you go live with Brax. That's right. Let's see. Where did I? Oh yeah. The information war entered a new realm of effectiveness in the 1930s when the Rockefeller Foundation launched secret psychological war projects to shape public opinion. According to Christopher Simpson, author of Science of Coercion, they were a remarkably tight circle of men and women who shared several important conceptions about mass communications research. They regarded mass communication as a tool for social management, as a weapon in social conflict, and they expressed common assumptions concerning the usefulness of quantitative research, particularly experimental and quasi-experimental effects research, opinion surveys, and quantitative content analysis as a means of illuminating what communication is and improving its application to social management. At about the same time that the Rockefellers' media manipulation programs went into overdrive, the Office of Strategic Services and the Office of War Information began recruiting the best and the brightest from American intelligentsia for initiation into the ranks of spookdom, as well as inserting their agents into powerful positions in the mass media, in politics, and in the universities. The cathedral, you say? A survey of the synagogue, you say? A survey of Office of War Information alumni working in the media in the early 1950s included the publishers of Time, Look, Fortune, and several dailies, editors of such magazines as Holiday, Coronet, Parade, and Saturday Review, editors of the Denver Post, New Orleans Times-Picayune, and others. The heads of Viking Press, Harper and Brothers, and Farr, Straus and Young, 2 Hollywood Oscar winners, a 2-time Pulitzer Prize winner, the board chairman of CBS, and a dozen network executives, President Eisenhower's chief speechwriter, the editor of Reader's Digest International Editions, at least 6 partners of large advertising agencies, and a dozen noted social scientists. Chief of the U.S. government's overt psychological warfare effort from 1950 to 1952, and later Dean of the Columbia Graduate School of Journalism and founder of the Columbia Journalism Review.
You mold bug, says Randall Shirker.
We have to acknowledge his influence.
Acknowledge it.
You have to acknowledge it.
Acknowledge the Mencius Moldbug stands in the proud line of some of the most absurdly white-knuckled conspiracy theorists in world history.
So true. Oh my God. Let's see here.
I hope Randall Shurker, there's a thought. I hope Randall Shurker is like literally the guy from the movie Bug.
Have we've had Randall Shurker on Drive Time.
Really?
Got brought up to the big chair. He's got his voice is amazing.
I'm bad.
Yeah. During the Randall is not prude. Randall is not the prudentialist.
No.
He is very much not the prudentialist. During the 1950s, American mass media interlocked directly with the CIA. The agency, feeding information to journalists in exchange for their own intelligence, developed domestically and abroad. Reporters were employed by the CIA to deliver communiques, as well as money to contacts, and to toe the agency line in their own dispatches. The CIA even ran a training program teaching reporting skills to agents. Man, journalists, real truth tellers, aren't they? Really, aren't they real truth tellers, folks? You think people would do that? They would just go to journalism school to tell lies for the government? Yep. Or, for extra governmental entities.
Yeah.
It is virtually impossible. Did your torturous e-girl just crank the rack a few more notches on you?
No, I live in a Victorian house.
Oh man, it sounded like a ratchet just dislocated your knees.
No, it's my furniture.
Amazing. It is virtually impossible to determine the exact number of American journalists who are currently on the CIA or other intelligence agency payrolls. It's really easy. It's like all of them. Much less who are informally slipped information. Most of them. But in 1977, Carl Bernstein, in an article for Rolling Stone, guessed the number at that time to be about 400. All the 400 that he published in Rolling Stone, I'm sure. Bernstein noted a long-standing relationship of the agency with the CBS network and former CIA director Alan Dulles' friendship with CBS's president, Council on Foreign Relations member William Paley. The president of CBS News from 1954 to 1961, Council on Foreign Relations member Sig Mickelson, acted as Paley's liaison with the CIA. Using a direct telephone line that bypassed the network switchboard and connected directly with the agency. The chief directors and news anchors of CBS have also been CIA connected, according to Bernstein. The journalist wrote that over the years, the CBS network provided cover for CIA employees, including at least one well-known foreign correspondent and several stringers. It supplied outtakes of news film to the CIA, established a formal channel of communication between the Washington bureau chief and the agency, and allowed reports by CBS correspondents to be routinely monitored by the CIA. The New York Times and its publisher, CFR member Arthur Hayes Schulzberger, frequently liaised with the CIA, provided cover for at least 10 CIA agents during the 1950s and 60s. The publisher of the Washington Post, Council on Foreign Relations member Katharine Graham, was close friends with CIA directors Dulles and Casey and employed a number of reporters who worked with the CIA. Let's see. Henry Luce, the founder of Time and Life, was a friend of CIA Director Alan Dulles and looked the other way when some of his reporters attended CIA briefings. C.D. Jackson, a leading exec at Time Life, lived a double life as a mover and shaker in American psychological warfare efforts. It's like it's the same job. According to CIA files, ABC News was used as a cover by agents during the 1960s, of course, and today. Let's see. We're gonna read a little chat. Let's see here. Vulpus persona tortious interference. Yeah, can you extract a tort claim against your lady? Sandbatch? I mean, I realized that it was just your
what?
chair. I realized it was just your chair. When I said you're torturous woman, he said tortuous interference.
words have
Bulbous persona made a contract law joke, and I wanted to acknowledge and laugh at it.
The words, of course, do have the same root.
Yeah, well, tort and torture. Yeah,
as does terroir, the sommelier skill. You know.
Mad Hatter's Banker says, Capitalisimo, be honest, please. Do you set your AC to below 68 degrees while you stream and sleep? Got to be at least that cool to be able to think.
Mad Hatter's Banker has not appeared in the chat before. And
this is a longtime friend who changed his name.
Is it?
Yes, I'm certain. Actually, so I'm gonna be straight up with you, bud. My wife likes keeping it at 69. That's not a joke. It's like that's the number. She 70 can get a little hot for her. 68's too low. 69's the number for sleep. So yep. Big AC bills in the summer. Anyway, Sex Freakman says, putting down mover and shaker as previous positions on your CV. Absolutely. I gotta update my resume. I gotta go on my digital ID that includes my entire work history that Jim Keith said we'd have. And I'm gonna put on mover and shaker. Anyway, let's see here. Another means of CIA control over the media is through outright ownership. New York Times in 1977 reported that the CIA owned more than 50 radio stations, wire services, magazines, and newspapers, with the majority of them being overseas. Many foreign news agencies were also infiltrated with CIA agents. More than 1,000 books that had been subsidized or produced outright by the CIA had been put in print by American publishers. This is just like USAID publishing like how to make your baby trans, and brown. Don't have babies if you're white or something. This is the legitimate immigrant experience for a Senegalese trans man. Given these extensive involvements, would it be too much to venture that the American media, that bastion of freedom and independence, holds CIA credentials? Of course. Another means of influencing public opinion has been through the Advertising Council, a tax-exempt, non-government agency whose membership is heavily weighted with members of the Council on Foreign Relations. Among the projects that the Advertising Council has furthered are ones aimed at the creation of a one-world government, including world peace through world law and various public service announcements promoting the United Nations. A technique for influencing public opinion is polling organizations which have demonstrably been shown to slant their public opinion questions in order to achieve desired results. Including having outcomes like push polls, which we should all be familiar with. But which may also be engaged in outright deception and alteration of statistics in the service of whomever is paying them, of course. During the recent bloody American intervention in Yugoslavia, public opinion pollsters placed an approval of the war in the public at 73%, while an informal poll that I and some friends conducted determined exactly the opposite, that only 1/3 of Americans supported the bombing. I know that we are not lying. It was him and his two friends, and one of them supported it. Obviously the statistics are used to guide public opinion rather than report it. That's why you can only trust internal polling, right? Probably the most infamous example.
Only trust internal polling.
You can't always trust it, but internal polling. All right. Internal polling is more reliable. Public. Okay.
I just like literally. I just had like a.
I should say it the other way. I should say it the other way. You obviously cannot trust a poll that is released to the public.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But this is
internal polling. There is a cause for it to attempt to be accurate. Like the incentives are better, right? But it can still be wrong or manipulated in some way.
It is just a totally beautiful thing. Actually, I was just like, I had this flash image of you sitting like running an African country, just making up the internal polls.
I would totally make up the internal polls.
Yes.
Just to manipulate the insiders. There's also internal polls, like the ones I run for real. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Probably the most infamous example of media manipulation took place after the assassination of American President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. A CIA memorandum dated April 1st, 1967, was issued on the U.S. agency assets in the media in countering criticisms of the Warren Report on the assassination of JFK, a murder that many researchers have in fact laid at the doorstep of American intelligence itself. Among the ways to answer and refute those critical of the Warren whitewash is as the CIA suggested, were a variety of ploys, including saying that a critic's research was faulty. They had financial interest in writing negatively on the Warren Report, and that the conspiracy on the large scale often suggested would be impossible to conceal. Of course, this was in the horse and buggy days before the expediency of calling someone a conspiracy nut or even existed. Within the last year, another example of media manipulation may have saved President Bill Clinton from impeachment due to an incident that has come to be known as Rapegate. I do not recall. I mean, I was not that old.
Yeah.
But I was in high school, and I feel like I would have heard about Rapegate.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have heard about Rapegate if they used that phrase. During the impeachment trial of Clinton, Juanita Broderick, referred to as Jane Doe number 5 in the Starr report, Ken Starr, classic Ken Starr, special prosecutor, first special prosecutor of my life. Let's see, was interviewed at length by NBC correspondent Lisa Myers. Broderick alleged that in 1981, Bill Clinton had raped her in an Arkansas motel room where she had been working for his campaign for governorship. This is not an incredible allegation, since Clinton has been accused of rape and forcing his sexual attentions on women numerous occasions in the past. The first time that we know of was during his studies at Oxford University in England in the 1960s. There were several reliable witnesses to corroborate Broderick's story, including a nurse who treated her for injuries inflicted during the alleged rape. NBC completed the interview with Broderick prior to the end of the impeachment trial, but the network suppressed airing the story until the trial was over. After the story had been picked up by the Wall Street Journal and other media outlets, thus Congress and the American public were prevented from making a fully informed decision about the suitability of Clinton as president. Wow. I did know about Juanita Broderick. I really don't think I ever heard it called Rapegate. But whatever, that's cool. Rapegate. Every day I get up, I get up just like everyone else. I take off my pants and walk through the rape gate.
Yep.
Media management does not always have to be so dramatic. Simple distraction, the circuses part of the historic bread and circuses formula, is another effective technique. The dissemination of entertainment, popular culture, and useless factoids has channeled public attention away from far more important issues, such as poverty, human rights abuses, the equitable distribution of wealth of the world, true political representation for the vast majority of humans, and media controlled by the elite. This is one of the main functions of the television, which is in essence a propaganda box spewing out positive drug-like reinforcements of sex, violence, and simulated social interaction. Do you like parasociality? I love parasociality. All my homies love parasociality.
I don't got a problem with it.
You know, you're lukewarm on parasociality. You like to be
She's never done anything to piss me off.
No parasociality ever called me the hard R.
Yeah. That's not true.
Actually, that's not true. They've called me that a lot. Let's see. As an example of distraction by media, the political struggle of Black Americans for economic and political well-being, lowercase b on Black here, for economic and political well-being has been effectively derailed by the safe to the establishment energetics of gangster rap culture, drugs, and sports, preparing Black youth to take their place in the world as drug addicts and latter-day steppin' fetchits, just struggling in the grinning. Wait, to take their place in the world as drug addicts and latter-day steppin' fetchits, struggling in grinning Mick poverty.
Damn. Now, what was it? Latter day
Steppin' fetchits.
Step and how is that spelled?
It's capital S. This is a character. Steppin' fetchit.
Yeah.
STEPPIN apostrophe second name FETCHITS. Steppin' fetchits.
What does this mean?
Steppin' fetchit's definitely a character.
I know. But we want to know the character.
Of course. Go for it.
This is suddenly incredibly important.
I wonder. I don't think that's it's like the opposite of a staggeringly.
For the same reason. Yeah. By the way, everybody, Pete Canone's got me a Confederate flag Zippo, and it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. But the same impulse that leads me to collect like yard ornaments of Black people, and like, what is Steppin'?
All right? Steppin' Fetchit was a dude.
Wait, I got it.
Yeah,
Stage persona of Lincoln Perry, a Black actor famous in early Hollywood for a comic character often described as lazy, shuffling, and unintelligent.
Hell yeah. He has a star.
That one is going. That one is.
Wait. Here's a great one. He has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Amazing. Drive time movie night. Steppin' Fetchit. We're doing it,
dude.
We're doing it.
It's a silent film too.
Oh, great. That's perfect. Let's see here. Journalist John Swinton, one of the most respected of the breed at the time, described the situation succinctly when he gave a toast at the New York Press Club in 1953. Swinton said, "There's no such thing as this date of the world's history in America as an independent press. You know it, and I know it. There's not one of you who dares to write your honest opinions, and if you did, you'd know beforehand that it would never appear in print. I'm paid weekly for keeping my honest opinion out of the paper. I'm connected. Others of you are paid similar salaries for similar things, and any of you would be so foolish as to write honest opinions would be out on the streets looking for another job. If I allowed my honest opinions to appear in one issue of my paper, before 24 hours, my occupation would be gone. The business of journalists is to destroy the truth, to lie outright, to pervert, to vilify, to fawn at the feet of Mammon, and sell his country and his race for his daily bread. You know it and I know it, and what folly is toasting an independent press? The tools of rich men behind the scenes. We're jumping jacks. They pull the strings and we dance. Our talents, our possibilities, and our lives are all the property of other men. We are intellectual prostitutes." Damn. Good one. Prostitutes.
Worse.
Hookers. And they the Johns. Hey, Sex Freakman asking the important questions in chat. Who up step and they fetch it? Who up step and they fetch it at this age? Yep, that's right.
That's a pretty deep one. Like that one. That's been suppressed knowledge for quite some time.
What, step and fetch it, or the Swinton quote?
Step and fetch it.
Yeah. Another media strategy employed in the latter half of the 20th century is subliminally embedded messages. We're doing backmasking, aren't we? There are a number of methods by which subliminals can be injected into a communication. In electronic media, these include the use of sub-audible sounds, backmasking, tachystopic flashes, image associations, and other techniques. Print media primarily utilizes embedded messages, image association, and symbolism. Yes, of course it does. Like lazily conflating two topics. Backmasking is legit, I swear to you. Backmasking is a psyop. The idea of backmasking is a psyop. In 1956, the British Broadcasting Company transmitted a subliminal message during the course of a regularly scheduled television program. The program was over. Viewers were queried whether they had noticed anything unusual. Only a few persons responded, and still fewer were able to identify the subliminal message that had been broadcast. This, of course, is not an indication that the subliminal was unsuccessful. The viewer is not supposed to be able to perceive consciously what the message is, only be influenced subconsciously. In September of 1957, American advertising executives James Vickery told a gathering of journalists that subliminal advertising had been successfully tested. For a period of 6 weeks, subliminal messages to drink Coca-Cola and to eat popcorn had been shown to 45,699 patrons in a movie theater. The projected subliminals had been brief in duration, 1/3000th of a second. It had been projected every 5 seconds during the airing of motion pictures. It was reported that popcorn sales rose almost 6%, 60%, while Coca-Cola sales increased almost 20%. That is pretty impressive. Okay. So the do that. If you're running a movie theater, do that. At about the same time as Vickery's announcement, the Los Angeles television station KTLA announced that they would be commencing with subliminal broadcasts. In order to quell public concerns, the station indicated that programs bearing subliminal messages would be announced prior to airing, and that they would only carry non-commercial subliminals, at least initially. The general manager of the station, Lou Arnold, said, "We'll flash on something like Join the Army or Give to the March of Dimes. The next step would be to promote our own shows. Then, and I have a feeling this is a long way off, we might go into commercial ending." According to a press release from the station, however, the subliminals were reportedly canceled without having commenced. Also in 1957, radio station WTWO in Bangor, Maine, began running subliminal messages in station promo announcements. The content was, "If you've seen this message, write WTWO." It was flashed thousands of times for 1/80th of a second during a 1-month period. The experiment was considered unsuccessful, so the station reported, since there was no increase in mail. On January 19th, 1958, an undisclosed subliminal message was flashed across the television screens 352 times during a CBC TV network program. A spokesperson for the CBC said that the experiment was inconclusive. Also in 1958, sub-audial phantom spots were broadcast during radio programs. Broadcasting stations that ran such spots included stations WCCO in Minneapolis, WAAF in Chicago, KLTI in Longview, Texas, KOL in Seattle, and KYA in San Francisco, and KYS, our audience. In 1958, researchers in the media and sociology departments of Indiana University ran subliminal experiments in both closed-circuit television and broadcasts of WTTV in Bloomington, Indiana. Indiana University crops up surprisingly frequently in research into mass control and was the home base for sexologist Alfred Kinsey, who will be profiled in the next chapter. as well as recruiting grounds for death evangelist Jim Jones. The effect of subliminal motivational techniques did not escape American intelligence agencies. It is documented that the CIA, for one, looked into the use of subliminals beginning in 1958. A partially declassified CIA document dated January 17th, 1958, stated it may be that subliminal projection can be utilized in such a way as to feature a visual suggestion such as obey, deleted from the original document. Martin A. Lee, writing in High Times magazine, quotes an anonymous CIA agent as saying some thought was given as to whether or not we could affect political outcomes by using subliminal perception in things like radio and TV. Yeah, I mean, subliminal messages, the problem with them is just kind of inherently that if a person is unable to perceive something, then it is difficult for them to incorporate that information. And so, you know, just even slight framing alterations for information are some of the most fucking successful things you could possibly do. Like, you know, easy example to a incredibly lazy thing you can do to frame something in a way that absolutely mind breaks every boomer ever is a movie that's based on a true story. 100% of them will treat it like it is the most thoroughly researched documentary fucking ever. And they will incorporate 100% of all messaging. Like, guarantee you. Like movies, like the most boomers' entire conception of history is like World War II films. Like,
this is true.
That's it. And like, you know, I don't know, the Green Book, like just Oscar bait films. Like that's their entire world conception. According to a statement from the Federal Communications Commission, I'm not going to like say that millennials don't have their own like sort of blind spots and shibboleths, but you know, I am well equipped to be a critic of my parents' generation. According to a statement of the Federal Communications Commission, shortly before Christmas in 1973, American television viewers complained about the insertion of a message of almost instantaneous duration saying, "Get it," in an advertisement. In 1994, a viewer of Channel 11 in Rome, Georgia, saw a rapid flash of light while viewing reruns of the Batman television series. Since he had been recording the show on his VCR, he freeze-framed moments of the flash, only to find out that a scene of protesters with "Keep Abortion Legal" signs had been inserted into the program. In 1997, in Japan, more than 700 children went to the hospital. Oh, this is Pokemon, yeah. After viewing the popular cartoon series Pokemon, there we go. The children experienced convulsions and at least one case stopped breathing, supposedly because the scene 20 minutes into the cartoon had triggered photosensitive epilepsy with strobing lights. According to the report, Tokyo doctors described the effect of the scene as similar to hypnosis. Yeah, that's what an epileptic seizure is. But yeah, no, that's well documented and was not. They flashed red and blue 60 times a second. Like they flashed equiluminant red and blue 60 times a second, which is just known to cause epileptic seizures. It was just really irresponsible on the parts of the animators. Anyway, there is another possibility other than epileptic seizures that may have affected the children that may not have occurred to many. Russian Major I. Cernyshev, writing in the military journal Orienteer in February 1997, referred to experimentation by the Japanese in noiseless cassettes. Chernyshев claimed that the Japanese had developed techniques for patterning messages at infra-low frequencies over music, messages that could be used for mind control. Man, would be sick. A related technique was described by, except they altered that particular program to remove the, I don't know, okay, maybe they removed the infrasound at the same time. Doubt it. A related technique was described by Russian Dr. Viktor Solntsev of the Bauman Technical Institute in Moscow. In a Russian military publication, Solzhenitsyn described a computer virus termed Virus 666. The virus is displayed visually in every 27th frame on a visual display, including television or computer, and supposedly broadcast colors that put the viewer into a hypnotic trance. If the exposure is continued, it can result in arrhythmia of the heart. This is not simply Solzhenitsyn's fantasy, but has been spoken of by other Russian scientists. It is suggested that Virus 666 can be used to subliminally influence a viewer's thinking and perceptions. Another secret subliminal technique is described by an informant of the author who chooses to remain anonymous. He wrote on April 14th, 1999. I went back to college for the summer to work on my media degree. I was hoping for a while to get into TV and film production and become a movie director. Anyway, I happened upon some of the TV technicians there discussing a rumor that they had heard about a new subliminal process that was being called fractional framing. And as I was into TV technology at the time, I joined their brief discussion to just find out more for curiosity's sake. As they described it, fractional framing is very similar to regular movie subliminal cut. In the subliminal cut, a whole frame of the film is removed and replaced with an ad or an order. And though you cannot see it with your eyes, it affects your subconscious, and you end up craving the thing advertised or doing what is ordered. However, for fractional framing, rather than taking out a whole frame on the TV screen, all they do is replace a few of the 500 lines on the TV screen, which makes it harder to detect, but it appears to be just as effective. Being interested in subliminals, which we had discussed in my various media classes, I asked if there was any proof of these rumors. One of the technicians insisted that he had heard that it had been experimented on the public at KIRO TV Channel 7 in Seattle. As in subliminal broadcasting at this time, the great majority of the information that we receive from major media is designed to keep us confused, entrapped, and motivate us without our knowledge. As Professor Noam Chomsky wrote in Chronicles of Dissent, our system works very much differently and more effectively than the communist system.
Yeah.
It's a privatized system, a system of propaganda, including the media, the journals of opinion in general, including the broad participation, the articulate intelligentsia, and the educated part of the population. The more articulate element of those groups, the ones who have access to the media, including the intellectual journals, who essentially control the educational apparatus, should probably be referred to as a class of commissars. That's their essential function, to design and propagate and create a system of doctrines and beliefs which will undermine independent thought and prevent understanding and analysis of institutional structures and their functions.
It's
At times,
structures.
Yeah. At the time, the controllers themselves were even willing to admit the manipulation, as David Rockefeller did when addressing the Trilateral Commission in June of 1991. We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subject to the bright lights of publicity during those years. But the world is now more sophisticated and prepared to march towards world government. The supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national autodeterminism practiced in past centuries. Surely, the media never was a singly effective enough tool for you, Mr. Rockefeller, nor for the other rulers of the world. You've sought other means for control. All right. And that'll be it for this week. Yeah, that's a good
How long is this book? This is a good one.
So that we've gone through 29 pages of 172.
Okay, so we got a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just gauging the length of the race, since in case anybody forgets, he doesn't actually tell me what book we're doing until we start.
That's right. So,
He somehow didn't ask that early on.
What?
I fear, however, we're never going to recapture the heights of Wendy Painting PhD.
I told her she needs to finish her next book.
Yeah. If Wendy Painting publishes another book, I'll read it live in Ho Chi Minh City and then light myself on fire.
You think it's that unlikely, or you want to die that much?
Look, I just put an offer on the table.
Look, I'm just saying. There's a carrot. There's a carrot for you and a stick for me. That's how we make deals.
Yeah,
Oh my God. Yeah. Randall Shirker with some wisdom. Just remember, you're not immune to propaganda. Noam Chomsky, Epstein files. Noam Chomsky. That's right. Anyhow, all right, guys. Well, Sandbatch, do you have anything you want to tell the people?
I went on Art of Darkness yesterday, and so y'all should go listen to that.
I did that 2 days ago.
Oh, yep. Did yeah, we talked about you a little bit, but
shit.
Yeah, he was the one that was asking me about you personally, actually.
Oh.
No, it wasn't him. I'm just spreading shit around. But somebody did ask me about you.
You'll have to tell me after.
Maybe I will, maybe I won't. It's called doing my own little DDD.
I'm doing my own little. Daddy can do DDD too. It's not just you. Anyway. Okay. Well, cool. Yeah. Check out The Art of Darkness. Check out Book Club from Hell. Check out Drive Time Movie Night. Check out Sandbatch's book. And I went on Art of Darkness, and like he had to remind me, dude, you wrote a book, you got to show it. And I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm getting to the point where I'm kind of bored with this book. I need a new one. So I will tell you what I'm doing. There's a poet, and I'm sure I talk about it on Art of Darkness. There's a poet named John Gould Fletcher that I post shit from all the time, and I'm preparing his entire collected works since no one else has ever done it. And I was like, well, that's an obvious low-hanging fruit. So I've been working you mean complete works?
You can actually buy like hand signed, like his like signed copies of his books for relatively cheap. But I'm looking to raise awareness here as well.
Okay. Raise awareness.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Looking to raise awareness of a problem that we've identified and get some grant money.
Sweet.
I'm just being Jewish.
Get some grant money. All right, kids. Remember, if you send us a super chat, if you share the streams, if you tell everyone to buy a subscription to Library of Mass Destruction, then you too will get grant money under your pillow. See you next time.
You're discouraged from questioning and thinking critically. You must accept the word of the leaders. They make you feel guilty if you do question or argue. Your environment is often controlled, cutting you off from friends, family, school, previously held beliefs. They want you to become dependent, provide a poor diet, poor health care, little sleep, and long exhausting hours of work to make you physically weak and lower your ability to think clearly. Subtly, your self-confidence gets undermined, and your self-image or sense of identity is changed. The leaders control channels of communication. They cut off or put down outside sources of information. Then they bombard you with what they want you to think. They use strong peer pressure, playing on your desire to be loved and accepted. The leaders may promise rewards if you obey them and punishment if you don't, but they alternate harshness and leniency in order to confuse you. The leaders manipulate language, giving special meanings to words that only insiders understand. This is to make you feel like you're part of a special, important, or elite group, and that outsiders are inferior, dangerous, or doomed. You have to confess your shortcomings, mistakes, or misbehavior, sometimes even if these things never really happened. And meanwhile, your time and activities are tightly controlled. You don't have much privacy or energy or time to think because you're too busy doing monotonous, repetitive tasks. The leaders try to control you and even your sexuality, everything about you. They want to exploit you for their own enrichment, their own power or grandiosity. If they succeed, you will declare your loyalty to its leaders, rejecting your old values and way of life. Without realizing it, you will have been changed into a person who is being controlled by a totalist cult.